On tonight's program, we're going to discuss power dynamics, and I give out a very stark warning tonight. If you are a man today who's got his money all the way straight, much less if you happen to be in the top 1%, there's no such thing as an ex-girlfriend. Not anymore. You got wives, and then you've got imposing wives, if you will. And now you're watching as we can show you a string of men who are finding themselves in severe trouble because the girlfriends are trying to extract wife benefits. We're going to come back to Jonathan Majors here in a little bit. But let me go ahead and play a little catch up for you here first. I want to play a little catch up here for you. As you all know, Diddy's one-time long-term girlfriend, Cassie, she thought that she was in line for basically kept woman status for the rest of her life. She realized that wasn't going to happen. She breaks up with Diddy after a decade of being on the run-through rodeo. And she leaves him to go with a personal fitness trainer. By the way, if that sounds incredibly familiar to another chick we know, I mean, that seems to be the thing. They run off with personal fitness trainers or martial arts trainers. So people who are below them and yet very flattering to them. So yeah, there's that. Cassie goes off and does that, but old boy, 4 years later, old boy ain't got the bag. Old boy is not elevating. Next thing you know, Cassie goes rummaging back through her mental and emotional Rolodex with some help from the New York legislature. It gives her the ability to have a mulligan lawsuit. And all of a sudden, something she had never said before, breathed the word of before, all of a sudden making all kinds of claims. Oh, I've been done so wrong. I've had hideous crimes committed against me, but for $30 million, I'll forget it all. I'll sweep it under the rug. And that's exactly what occurred. And I warned a whole lot of people here. I was telling everybody from the beginning, when you asked Jason, what do you think of this right here? It's so obvious. It's a money grab, obviously. Nothing she's saying is credible. It's a money grab. Well, for those of you who are wondering whether or not I was correct about it or not, read them and weep. For anyone here who was dumb enough and gullible enough, and you know who you are, there were plenty of folks here who were sitting up here trying to question it before. By the way, breaking news. Fresh off of her lawsuit against Diddy, Cassie, the one half of a one-hit wonder, is getting ready to go on tour. Now, I just wanted to show one thing in that regard because I feel that is relevant. I do feel that it is relevant because without proper context, you may not understand exactly what you're looking at there without proper context. And I also thought that there were some folks here that because of this situation, it should be kind of clear exactly what you're looking at. I want to go to this article itself here from Complex so that you all have some more details about this. And of course, the information and analysis that you'll receive absolutely nowhere else. Cassie filed this lawsuit against Diddy, and as soon as she settled it, wham, bam, quick, fast, in a hurry, she now is being said that she's going on tour. But I want to give you a little bit more information on that because here is from the story itself, from Complex, from the story itself. And you can see the headline. Ryan Leslie says Cassie is getting ready to go on tour. The singer's ex-boyfriend and former collaborator says the singer is gearing up to go on tour with new music possibly on the way. Well, I'm sure that all of you have been sitting back here all this time with bated breath. I'm sure you've all been waiting. You have been waiting in radical suspense for Cassie to release some new music for you all. I'm sure you have been. So you'll be pleased to know that Cassie has apparently been hard at work making sure that her legions of loyal fans, just so you know that she is still out there, because she knows what you really wanted was new music from Cassie. You've been clamoring for new music from Cassie all this time. 2 decades later, you've been clamoring for new music from Cassie. So now, Yeah, of course. Of course. Naturally. Cassie is reportedly gearing up for a major comeback. Ryan Leslie, the singer's ex-boyfriend and former collaborator, told TMZ on Tuesday that the two are about to work together again as she gets ready to hit the road. The outlet didn't miss an opportunity to ask Leslie about another one of Cassie's exes, Sean Combs. Last month, the singer dropped a bombshell lawsuit that accused him of various things. Leslie, however, who dated Cassie in the mid-2000s, tells TMZ that her interactions with Combs came after their breakup. Folks, do you believe that? Because that, according to the lawsuit, those timelines seem to overlap. He also told the publication that he eventually reconnected with the singer in 2017 when their former manager Ed Woods passed away. But he says that Cassie is now planning a comeback in the form of a tour with the possibility of new music being released further down the line. Do you all think that's the case, or do you think it's the case where Ryan is like, you know what? Diddy grabbed my chick. And now I'm going to make sure that if he wanted to do that, that there's going to be a penalty to pay. And I'm here to make sure that he has to eat these sour grapes. Which one sounds more plausible to you all? That Cassie cheated on him with Diddy, and now Ryan sees it as just desserts, that the chick that Diddy was so determined to steal from him, now she's buried him. And next thing you know, right after that, Ryan shows right back up again. Why, he shows right back up right next to Cassie again. Yeah, we right here. Does that sound more plausible, or does it sound more plausible to you all that, oh, well, that was after that happened, and oh, we just reconnected right before she gets ready to break up with Diddy. Right before she gets ready to break up with him, we, quote, reconnected. All right. Okay. You tell me which one sounds more plausible to you. So, for anybody who was out there wondering, for anyone who's out there trying to question whether or not we were correct about this, how I called it, did I call it or did I not call it? Did I call it or did I call it? That the money ran out. The money's done run low a long time ago. She married a dude who was, quote, willing to commit, and yet that fella ain't the bag, not nearly at the level that she was. And as I said, it's not just about the money. She wants the status. I beat the drum like a sledgehammer when I did that program about Diddy and Cassie. I told folks what it was the whole damn time. If you all remember, I was the only voice in media that was screaming through this microphone that she wanted her status. That what she missed was the fact that after she left Diddy, she became a nobody. She was a chick who wanted to be a star. Marrying the personal fitness trainer didn't make you a star. It made you a laughing stock. Now, all of a sudden, she's got kids with this man. The kids are 3 or 4 years old, but she wants to go on tour? A tour that nobody asked for, that no one was clamoring for, a tour that no one requested. First, she files the lawsuit. She hurries up and settles that, and then I'm going on tour. The money isn't enough. The guy she is with ain't the dude. He's a dud. He lacks the charisma. He lacks the presence. But worst of all, he lacks the status of the man that she was with. And that man had the ability to make sure she couldn't get back on the scene anymore. So she made sure she did what she had to do. And I have to say, it was a masterful chess move on her part. If she wanted to get back in the limelight, even if it turns out to be a disaster, Diddy had the ability to stop that from happening, so she cleared the only real obstacle that she had out of her way. She demolished him. Now she's got the ability to get on stage, although I remember people talking about that she had some sort of live performance she did years ago and it was horrible. So, all right. But did she take the $30 million? Let's just say she got $30 million. Let's just say that's what she got. I think she got considerably less, but let's just say she got $30 million. Okay, fine. I'll hand that to you there. After taxes, you can tell me how much you think after attorney's fees, how much will she get to keep? After attorney's fees, how much will she get to keep? For those of you who don't know, in cases like this, attorney's fees could be anywhere from 25% to 50% because these are basically considered to be personal injury cases. So after attorney's fees, how much will she get to keep? After taxes, how much will she get to keep? Seems like she's already calculating that she's not going to be able to keep that much. So she's like, okay, let me go ahead and start hitting the road again because the money ain't enough. And the man that I'm with is not enough. So I got to make up for that shortfall. And this all started because she thought her ship had come in years ago. And it didn't. She thought the ship had come in years ago, and the reality is it didn't. And she's been scrambling to get a seat back on that luxury cruise ship ever since. And the cruise ship that Diddy provided was not just money and crazy sex. He provided status. He provided status. Something she couldn't get anywhere else. A chick don't sit up here and shave her damn head because the man she's with ain't that dude. A chick don't sit up here and do this because the guy that she's with ain't the man. She does crazy stuff like this when the guy that you are with is that dude. And she went off with the personal trainer because a fella got to understand that when she flying high at this level, that's rare air that few can stay in. When she got busted up in pieces after that and couldn't fly anymore, she went scrambling for the little safe cornball beta dude, and she couldn't stand it. She took a taste of that retired, settled down, middle-class suburban life and couldn't stand it. I'm out the music business. I'm done with all that, okay? She was able to stay out of it for all of a few years? And then she said, no, I don't have the status anymore. I need to get that back. And so she's gone on a campaign and said, guess what, everybody? In case you didn't notice or not here, I'm coming out of retirement. Next thing you know, Cassie, who's been in mothballs for years now, really going on decades, next thing you know now, I'm coming out of retirement. Yeah, I can't stand where I've been anymore. Diddy might have been well served to stay in touch with her to find out if she had any feelings of discontent or if she felt like she was no longer as important as she once was because the man she's with, folks, let me tell y'all something. Status is a unique commodity. It can't be fabricated and it can't be duplicated. You either have access to the real thing or you don't have it. It's like water. Either you can get access to the real thing or you can't get it. There is no substitute for water. Well, there's no substitute for status. And if the woman that you are with craves and desires and needs and requires that status and you cannot give it to her, just understand it creates a hole that all the money in the world can't fill. She wants to hear thousands of people chanting her name. I'm going to tell you one more thing. She wants that raw sexual energy that she had a moment in the sun to be able to attract years ago. What? She wants that raw sexual energy from men. When she was with Diddy, that's what she was getting. She was getting tons of raw sexual energy. And she was lapping it up, pardon the expression, and loving it. But after a while, once Diddy was done with her, she can't get it anymore. She's back to try to see if she can get that high again and that experience again. You can't replicate that. I called it from the very beginning, and here we are. If you all agree that I called it just like it is, give me the bullhorn emoji in the chat room and hit the likes button for me. It's over 1,600 people in here live in just the first 15 minutes. We have a lot of ground to cover here tonight. So if you all agree that I called it correctly and it's going exactly the way I said, that she was not in this just for money. She wanted the status. She wanted the attention. And being with Mr. Green Acres, suburban milquetoast PTA dad wasn't gonna cut it. She wants that action. She wants that street action like she was getting before. If I'm telling the truth about that, and if I called it, hit me with the bullhorn emoji in the chat room and hit the likes button for me. I'm hosting tonight's program here because we are in a deadly era for men, particularly if you're a man in the top 1%. I'll even extend that to the top 5%. If you are a man in that rare air, if you are a man in that strata, it's going to be problematic. From here on in, it is going to be problematic. And it's going to be problematic because right now, if you do not give women what they feel they are owed, if you don't give them a ring, if you don't give them that today, they're like, you know what? Damn, asking for it. I don't have to ask anymore. If I want to, I'll just take it. Let me go ahead and show you on your screen right here. The men who are in the most danger right now, maximum danger, are those top two levels, the top 1% and the top 10th of 1%. You are in the danger. You are in the absolute danger zone, top level, top priority, maximum danger, medium danger, that top 5%. You are in medium danger. Everything above that is maximum danger, but guess what? That top 5%, you are in medium danger. And then the top 10%, you are in low level of danger. You're in danger, but a low level, relatively speaking. But that means you got to watch out for hoes, hood rats, the low-hanging fruit. You're the kind of guy they can pick off with ease. That top 5%, you are in medium danger. You better watch yourself. That top 1%, you are in, or higher, you are in maximum danger. It is practically guaranteed in today's environment going forward. It is practically guaranteed that you are going to have a problem, that you are going to have some type of situation, and that it won't just happen just once. Jason, what are you talking about? If you'll all remember here, I attempted to warn people. I've attempted to warn them before. I've talked about these things and I've called exactly the way it was going to go. Exhibit B, Tiger Woods. Now, I'm the only person who sat down, grabbed those lawsuits, and read them to you all page by page, line by line, predicted accurately what was going to occur, predicted what was going to happen with his girlfriend, predicted how it was going to shake down, and that this has made a precedent for how men can protect their assets, even though most men will not. Tiger Woods played it very, very smartly after he divorced Ellen Nordegren. But the new girlfriend said, you know what? If anything go down, I'm taking it with me. If anything goes down. And so she filed a lawsuit because she wouldn't leave his house. He had his legal people trick her into leaving the house and go to the airport. When she got to the airport, they served her with eviction papers and said, you cannot return to the house. She then finds some scumbag ambulance chaser to file a lawsuit on her behalf. She's the girlfriend. She's not the wife. She isn't the mother of any of his children. They got no ring, they got no kids, and yet she was going to court suing for millions of dollars simply for being his girlfriend. Millions. And you didn't hear female society in America screaming and shrieking that she was ridiculous and out of line. You didn't hear it. Not at all. Well, I'd like to tell you guys that was the end of it, but in reality, it wasn't. For those of you who did not know, in reality, it actually wasn't the end. For those of you who didn't know, Tiger Woods' ex-girlfriend actually filed another lawsuit. This is back in September. She had filed a lawsuit. Former girlfriend of Tiger Woods filed a 53-page brief in the Florida State Appeals Court in an effort to revive her public lawsuit against him after a judge threw it out in May. The document was submitted by the attorney for Erica Herman. Remember that one. The attorney for Erica Herman, who argued that the trial court erred when it decided to push the dispute out of public court and into private arbitration. The brief also restates that Herman, a former employee of Woods' restaurant in Florida, was subject to sexual harassment from the famed golfer. What? How many of you were aware of that? Way before Diddy, you had a girlfriend claiming, why, I was sexually harassed and I was sexually mistreated. Something you had never heard before. She didn't even say that previously. Now, all of a sudden, she was claiming that she was sexually harassed. And therefore, should not be compelled to resolve the dispute in private arbitration. Herman's attorneys cite a recently enacted federal law that invalidates non-disclosure agreements and forced arbitration in cases of sexual assault or harassment. Cassie was lying. She lied through her teeth. She lied in front of the world, but she did it. And I told you how she did it. She accused Diddy of a crime so that she would have an excuse for breaking the NDA. So, well, did he commit a crime against you? Yeah. Okay, fine. Well, no, he didn't commit a crime. Well, that's too bad, because if he did commit a crime, you could break your NDA. Are you still sure? That's her scumbag lawyers. Are you still sure he didn't commit a crime against you? Well, I feel like he did. Okay, well, now you can go ahead and break that NDA now and tell all the personal business. So, folks, I told you about this months and months and months ago. That's the strategy. If you want to break the NDA, then just claim that, oh, well, the federal law gives us a loophole. If you can accuse him of a crime, well, then you can break the NDA. And this is what these scumbag lawyers are out here coaching these women to do. Now, the article goes on to say here, what is the issue with Tiger Woods? Herman previously argued that Woods pursued a sexual relationship with her when she was his employee and then forced her, you notice the language they keep using here, and then forced her to sign a non-disclosure agreement about it or be fired from her job if she did not. Now, folks, you see all these damn pictures. You see all these pictures of the two of them together. And once he doesn't want a relationship anymore, all of a sudden she is stalking him in court, but she's telling you that she never wanted the relationship. Yeah, once he checks out, she tells you, oh, I didn't actually want the relationship. I didn't actually want it. Once the man checks out of the relationship, she comes back later suing, claiming that, well, when Diddy was flying me across the world, I actually didn't want that relationship. I actually didn't want it. So, yeah. We're not making this up as we go along, fellas. I'm trying to teach you something here. It goes on to say that the purported NDA between them from 2017 required her to resolve disputes in private arbitration. Remember that. But Herman has disputed the validity of that NDA and said she does not recall signing it. Now that's what she said. She disputed the validity of the NDA and said that she doesn't recall signing an NDA. Quote, no one should be forced out of court and into arbitration without proof that they agreed to arbitrate, said the brief recently filed in Florida's 4th District Court of Appeal. Quote, but that happened here. The trial court allowed the appellee, Tiger Woods, to force the appellant, Erica Herman, out of court without even threshold evidence that he and she agreed to arbitrate. The burden was not high for the appellee, but he failed to meet it. Herman's appeal stems from a lawsuit she filed against Woods in March that sought to have the NDA declared invalid. In October, she filed a separate lawsuit against the trust Woods established for his residence in Florida, claiming she had an oral tenancy agreement to remain there about 5 more years, but was locked out of the house in violation of that agreement. She claimed more than $30 million in damages in that lawsuit. Does that sound familiar to anyone? Folks, attorneys watch these things go through court. They watch them, they gauge what happened, and then they start deciding, okay, well, if I try to make this run, what can I do to tweak what those other folk did over there? If they failed, what do I got to do to tweak it so that when I make that run, it'll work? What were the flaws in what they did? What were the things that got their suit denied so that when I make this run, I can make sure I don't trip over any of those hurdles? People, any of you who even know basic law, those of you who have studied law, I got several attorneys listening to my program. I have several paralegals. This is the way the court system works, especially in civil cases. Attorneys study cases. They study precedent. They study successful cases and they study failed ones. They start gauging the market. These slip and fall attorneys and personal injury attorneys and civil attorneys and Gloria Allred, and they all start figuring out, okay, what's the number that we can hit these people for depending on how much they're worth and how much they earn? What's the number we can hit them for? Erica Herman's suit didn't succeed. Her suit didn't succeed. Cassie's did. So she went to court and said, okay, we know how to run the ball this time. Now we know how to run it. Now, it says that she claimed more than $30 million in damages in that lawsuit, which she voluntarily suspended in June pending the resolution of the appeal at issue against Woods with her recently filed brief. What is Woods' response? His attorney didn't return a message seeking comment. He previously denied that Herman had an oral tenancy agreement and said she is, quote, not a victim of sexual assault or abuse sought to be protected by Congress when enacting the statute. He also described her as a, quote, jilted ex-girlfriend who was making, quote, specious claims to put pressure on Woods, who famously guards his privacy. His position is that the NDA from 2017 is, quote, valid on its face. Herman's attorney, remember I keep emphasizing the attorneys, Herman's attorney disagrees. His appeals brief was filed after he previously asked the trial court judge to reconsider her ruling in May, which was denied. Quote, neither party behaved as if the purported agreement from 2017 governed anything they did, Herman's new brief states. In particular, in October 2022, a dispute arose between Mr. Woods and Ms. Herman about whether she would be permitted to continue living in the house and whether their relationship would continue. Mr. Woods did not take the dispute to arbitration. Instead, he deployed a scheme of trickery and threats to eject Ms. Herman from the house, take her personal property and pets, and break up with her. Folks, Tiger Woods got himself sued for breaking up with his girlfriend. She has been and is attempting to get wife benefits even though she is only a girlfriend. She has been attempting to extort wife benefits even though she is only a girlfriend. Well, going beyond that, we have yet more breaking news. Well, this from Golf Magazine here as of November 16th. So it hasn't even been a full month yet. Tiger Woods' ex-girlfriend drops sexual assault lawsuit. What? Well, what do you know? Couple months later, she's dropping this second appeal lawsuit here. Erica Herman, the one-time partner of Tiger Woods, has dropped a claim in which she accused the 15-time major champion of sexual assault. Herman, who filed the claim against Woods shortly after the relationship ended at the beginning of this year, dropped the lawsuit earlier this week, ending a 6-month legal battle. At the heart of Herman's case was a non-disclosure agreement she signed at the beginning of her relationship with Woods in 2017. Herman and Woods met at Woods' restaurant in Jupiter, Florida, where Herman was an employee. Under a law called the Speak Out Act, NDAs may be voided in instances of sexual assault or harassment. Herman and her lawyer argued the non-disclosure agreement was unenforceable because the status of Herman's employment hinged upon her accepting Woods' NDA and therefore represented an act of sexual harassment in the workplace. They said that the NDA was unenforceable because the status of Herman's employment hinged upon her accepting Woods' NDA and therefore represented an act of sexual harassment in the workplace. Obviously, that was not true. According to Fox News, Herman recanted her claims. So now it's not just listening to Jason Black. She withdrew it, writing in a letter to the court that she, quote, was never a victim of sexual harassment or sexual abuse at the hands of Tiger Woods or any of his agents, and it is her position she never asserted a claim for such. Now, do you remember that I kept saying her attorney said, the scumbag attorneys said? Did you notice I kept saying that? The letter comes after Circuit Judge Elizabeth Metzger expressed skepticism about Herman's interpretation of the NDA, calling her allegations, quote, vague and threadbare in an 11-page opinion rejecting her initial request to void the NDA. Herman has had the opportunity to provide factual specificity, look it up, for any claim relating to sexual assault or harassment. However, she has not done so, Metzger said. So in other words, they said, you're making a claim. Did you give us any specific factual evidence that you have been sexually assaulted or harassed? You broke your NDA, claiming that a crime had been committed, claiming that that someone had committed sexual assault or harassment against you. That was your basis on violating your NDA. And then they're saying after all this time, after she's violated it, after she's given out confidential information, after she violated it, now they're saying, by the way, you had no evidence for doing so and no basis for doing it. Does the law state what the penalties should be for her doing that? Because if you're going to say that a person can commit a crime, break the law, go into court knowingly lying, and then there's no penalty for them doing it, well, you just created all the incentive for them to keep doing it. If they can commit a crime or commit an offense and there is no punishment for it, well, hell, what does she lose to roll the dice? What does she lose to roll the dice? She's not going to get penalized if she does. We'll come back to Jonathan Majors here in just a little bit. But yeah, if they can go off and go commit these offenses and there's no penalty for it, well, hell, why not just roll the dice? There's plenty of lawyers who will go ahead and file the bogus ass paperwork and see if anything comes of it. According to the lawsuit, Herman and Woods first met in 2016 and dated through the end of 2022. The couple split at the beginning of this year, and Herman's lawsuits followed shortly thereafter. In addition to the NDA claim, Herman also dropped a separate lawsuit for $30 million against the trust that owns Woods' $54 million Jupiter Island mansion. No wonder Leonardo DiCaprio dates him for a year and then trades him in for a new model. He's like, I ain't gonna keep you around long enough to make any girlfriend claims. He dates him for about a year. You got to hire private eyes and the National Security Agency to get any pictures of them together. Man, by the time he break up with him, it's like, oh, who was you? We didn't even see y'all together. No wonder he got to play it like that. But the real question here is, why in the hell did he even have to do that? Why? Why? And I submit to you that she demonstrated why the man wanted to break up with her. If you want the evidence and explanation of why he broke up with her, this is why. You can see she crazy. You can see she's extreme. You can see she'll do anything. So yeah, you can't hold on to that for any real length of time. This is a security risk. This is a security threat. And sure enough, that's what it ballooned into. Now she got his life looking all crazy and looking all dramatic. Folks, imagine being sued by your ex-girlfriend. You can't just break up. Your ex is suing you for breaking up with them. And not for just a little bit. She's suing you and trying to... This is how far society has degenerated, that girlfriends are now attempting to extract and extort wife benefits. Furthermore, those should not be wife benefits. Alimony, as currently constituted in America, should be abolished because it's not alimony. It's indentured servitude. It's not alimony. But the bottom line is, if you qualified to be a wife, then a man might extend that to you. You didn't qualify for it. Enjoy your companion role. That's what you qualify for. That's what you excel at. You're not wife material. Well, if you won't make me a wife, I will punish you for doing so. And this is where we at today. Welcome to the evil ex-girlfriend era. This is the evil era. I'd like to tell you that's the end of that, but it actually isn't. There's another guy here. You all might have seen him on YouTube. He's been a bit of a sensation there. This is a guy here. He's one of these tech entrepreneurs. He's going through a bunch of things that I consider to be quite extreme. I say extreme to say I don't think it's very useful, but hey, if that's what he wants to do, he is obsessed with remaining young. He can't remain young, so now he just claims, well, I'm biologically young. All right, man, whatever you say. Well, my outside might look 40-something, but my inside is actually 18 years old. All right, man. All right. Dude, you got enough money now. I guess you can be as delusional as you wish to be. I ain't hating on you. If that's how you want to spin the cheese, go ahead and spin it like that. Go ahead and do your thing. But even he is not immune. This man had a fiance. He was dating her fiance. That means still his girlfriend. She had cancer. He was spending a bunch of money taking her around the country. And don't you know that after her cancer went into remission for a while there, he broke up with her, and then she says, break up? Oh, no. You can't do that. You can't do that. Oh, I'm entitled. I work at a little job in Hollywood. I am entitled. I'm never going to get another fella like you. I'm entitled to you and all the benefits that come with you. That's it. Even if you're not married to me, you're married to the game. Well, listen to this video here, and you are going to hear a number of frightening parallels from Diddy, Jonathan Majors, Tiger Woods, and the list actually could go on.
Hi, everyone. 2.5 years ago, on a normal Tuesday morning, I was going about my normal routine, and I received an email from a lawyer that attached a 13-page letter from my former fiance. This letter accused me of all sorts of, quote, perverse and abusive behavior. It was a shocking email to receive. Never would I have expected this thing to arrive in my email box. At the time, there was a lot of accusations being made about a lot of people, and I knew that many people were losing their jobs and their careers over this time. And I was now right in the thick of it. I never imagined myself to be there. As I read through the letter, trying to make sense of reality, it was a state of paralysis I've never experienced before. I spent the day talking to friends, I spoke to my attorneys, and we were trying to figure out what to do. Universally, the advice I received from everyone was settle it, remain private. I spent the day talking to what to do. I spent the day talking to friends, I spoke to my attorneys, and we were trying to figure out what to do. Universally, the advice I received from everyone was settle it. Universally, the advice I received from everyone was settle it. Universally, the advice I received from everyone was settle it, remain private. Don't take this into the public sphere because one's reputation can be eternally tarnished.
The universal advice I received from everyone was just settle it. The universal advice I received from everyone was just settle it. The universal advice I received from everyone, including my attorneys, was just settle it. He is telling you all how this happens. He is telling you the advice that these people get from their own lawyers. Their own lawyers tell them usually, hey man, this could get ugly. This is your girlfriend. She's accusing you of things. The public ain't gonna believe a damn thing you say. I advise you to just settle this. Get this out the way because I can negotiate an NDA better. I can negotiate an NDA more quietly than I can fight this lawsuit. So dude is telling you with all of his hundreds of millions of dollars, this guy's worth hundreds of millions. And I mean, he got cash, hundreds of millions of dollars. And he's got the best attorneys money can buy. And his attorneys, he's sitting here saying, by the way, he's saying it that way. Universally, I was advised. That's saying my attorney, everyone, my friends, my CPA, and my own attorneys advised me, you need to just settle this. You need to just let this go and you need to settle it. Folks, this isn't Jason Black talking. This is what Diddy's attorneys told him. That was why Cassie's lawyers broke the NDA. It's like, yeah, we know it's bogus, but there is no penalty for us breaking the NDA. So let's go ahead and break it and put your business out there. And what that has is the implicit threat that if we go to court, we get to drag all your dirt out there. So Bryan Johnson is here just confirming everything I've been saying since the very beginning. That's what Tiger Woods was probably told. That's what Diddy was probably told. Your lawyers don't want to fight the case if they don't have to, especially if they're on retainer. They're like, hey, I get paid the same thing no matter what. Oh, you're going to make me work? Maybe we should settle this. Oh, you don't want to settle it? Damn, guess I got to work. So now I'm giving you all some idea of exactly what this really means.
Universally, the advice I received from everyone was settle it, remain private. Don't take this into the public sphere because one's reputation can be eternally tarnished and it's very hard to come back from. And it felt devastating to me. The accusations felt like an injustice. And I went to bed that night realizing that this was one of the most significant moments of my life. That even though this was commonplace in society, it was happening everywhere, and it would have been easy to settle, it just didn't feel right to me. And I went to bed that night wondering what I should do. And the next morning, I woke up, and I felt a firm conviction that I needed to stand up for myself. I needed to take this course. And now, 2.5 years later, it has finally wrapped up. But it has been devastating, it has been costly, it has been stressful, it has been ruinous in so many ways.
It's been stressful and ruinous. You know why? Because these are the kind of articles that they were writing up about him. These are the kind of things that they were saying about him. Didn't get his side of anything. You got female writers at these publications, and this is what they were saying about him. They didn't even pretend to try to be impartial. They picked up their pens and went straight to work attacking him, which is, of course, what his attorneys were probably afraid of. That, by the way, you're going to have the media descend on you. They're going to make a bunch of lies against you and distortions against you. And those, even if you sue them, the distortions and lies will be out there before, while you're fighting this. You're going to fight multiple lawsuits on multiple fronts. This will be catastrophic. So that's what it means by ruinous. So he went from being able to just talk about his obsession with chasing biological youth to all of a sudden, hey, I got to deal with this nonsense for 2.5 years. So this is what he spent the pandemic dealing with.
And I hope that my experience going through this and sharing it with you will somehow make society better. And so what I've done is I've written out what I'm going to say today, because I've April 6th, 2021, that morning I was telling you about, with a 13-page letter from her attorneys. Quote, redacted, is willing to settle all of her claims against Mr. Johnson and his companies for $9 million, ... This was surprising because after over a year of our relationship ending, for the first time ever, she was accusing me of a wide range of, quote, abusive and perverse behaviors.
Perverse.
This was surprising.
Now, by the way, do you hear what he just said here about how long it took for her to file that suit?
This was surprising because after over a year of our relationship ending, for the first
over a year later. Do you understand this? It was over a year later. Fellas, these chicks say, this is what we're dealing with. Hey, I'll just lay low. If the new fella I go to doesn't work out, if circumstances don't work out, that's okay. I can always come back and get you. Hell, the law will support me in it. I can always come back and come clip you. There's going to be some scumbag ambulance chaser out there somewhere who'll support me in doing that. They'll take it pro bono. They'll take it on contingency. I can always come back and get you. Always. And they know it. So, these women are coming back years later. If I got an opportunity, here we go.
Time ever, she was accusing me of a wide range of, quote, abusive and perverse behaviors. Through her attorneys, she threatened to make her allegations public if I didn't pay her that $9 million in 1 week. Receiving this, WTF. What claims? What wrongdoing? Is this April Fool's? Am I being punked? I am so confused. This is a person whom I'd once had the most beautiful relationship with, and now she was unrecognizable to me. I double-clicked on the email and I started reading the letter, and the contents were shocking. I felt paralyzed.
All right, now to back that up one more time here, I want you to listen to this other timeline here.
If I didn't pay her that $9 million base behaviors. Through her attorneys, she threatened to make her allegations public if I didn't pay her that $9 million in 1 week. Make her allegations public if I didn't pay her that $9 million in 1 week. If I didn't pay her that $9 million in 1 week.
Yeah, folks. Her attorneys hit him up with a blackmail letter, with an extortion letter, and said, you have 7 days to pay her $9 million or we go nuclear. Now, this is what's happening in America today. And oh yeah, doesn't that sound familiar? Why, doesn't this sound exactly like what Diddy's lawyers said Cassie did? Isn't this the exact same thing that they sent him a letter saying, you got a short amount of time to pay us or we go public with these accusations? Now, If you gonna tell me that we got a law that allows women to have a mulligan for their hoe phase, why does that law not also say, by the way, if it turns out that your claims are fraudulent, these are serious claims you're making that will be handled seriously, and if you make fraudulent claims, it will be handled equally as seriously. Because there's no protection here against fraud. It's all upside, including for fraud. But that's the intent of it. The intent is to make a free fire zone because, truth be told, Kathy Hochul is an ugly old broad, but she's also the governor of the state of New York. So now she ain't got no men she can go after, but just like Tarana Burke, for all the men who curbsided her, and I'm sure there have been plenty, now she's gotten vicarious revenge. She's gotten vicarious revenge by throwing the floodgates open so other women can sue and get the revenge against men that she never could and never can. But yeah, folks, I'm telling you, I told you it'd be multiple dimensions of similarity here. His story sounds exactly the same. I told you that attorneys take a look at these playbooks. They take a look at the cases that are filed. They take a look at precedent. They see how the ball was run. And then they determine if they can run the ball the same way too. If somebody else got tripped up, what do I got to do to avoid their pitfalls and to avoid their mistakes? So they take a look at how these cases wind their way through the court. They take a look at what happens. They take a look at what succeeds. They take a look at what fails. And then they tweak their formula to make sure that they can win or give themselves the best chance of winning if they try to push the ball through. This is why these cases all sound the same. This is why the tactics that these scumbags use all are the same. They saw somebody else do it and said, okay, just replicate what they did to the best of our ability.
Receiving this, WTF. What claims? What wrongdoing? Is this April Fool's? Am I being punked? I am so confused. This is a person whom I'd once had the most beautiful relationship with, and now she was unrecognizable to me. I double-clicked on the email and I started reading the letter, and the contents were shocking. I felt paralyzed. What was even more shocking was that my fiance and I had signed a separation agreement a year earlier when ending our relationship. We both agreed to walk our separate ways. It was clear that she and her attorneys were gambling that they would put enough pressure on me of my reputation being tarnished publicly that I would pay up and settle privately.
Yeah, they did that because they watched Michael Jackson do it. They watched other celebrities do it. They've watched CEOs and corporations do it. They've watched it happen over and over again. So, of course, they're like, hey, we watched Bill Cosby do it. Just apply the pressure. Just apply the pressure. Yeah, it's blackmail. Yeah, it's extortion. It sure is. But if we got a legal basis for doing it, let's run it and see if we can get away with it. Since the laws have not been curated at this point to stop this kind of abuse. So yeah, that's the reason they did this. Because yeah, usually when we apply the pressure, then these folks be like, okay, they value their privacy more than they do their money. So that he'll be willing to pay the money as long as he can keep his private business private, because at this point in his life, he's got to pay to be a private citizen now. So yeah, go ahead and pay up, or we're going to rob you. We're going to rape you of something that you value greatly, your own privacy. We're going to put your sex habits. By the way, that's what her lawsuit did, by the way. Her lawsuit went into details about some of his sexual practices without me getting too in the woods about it. Basically claiming that he wanted that if he died, he wanted them to like preserve his brain and his kidneys and his sex organ. Well, yeah, once she could violate him, she starts throwing that out there. So just understand, she was dead serious and we're going for the jugular.
She was emboldened by lawyers, blinded by their greed to take advantage of her vulnerabilities and exploit my wealth. After over 6 months of threatening to destroy me with more serious allegations in her, quote, podcast, a book deal, and a potential TV series, the attorneys who sent the demand letter never filed.
Do you hear that, folks? A podcast, a book deal, and a TV series. Who the hell are you to get a TV series? She's supposed to be worried about fighting cancer, and she's like, oh, don't worry. The cancer is bothering me so bad that I got time and energy to go do this.
And exploit my wealth. After over 6 months of threatening to destroy me with more serious allegations in her, quote, podcast, a book deal, and a potential TV series, the attorneys who sent the demand letter never filed a complaint or produced a single piece of evidence to support the allegations. Then she got new attorneys. Seeing that threats alone were insufficient, they filed a case in court.
Okay, now did you hear that? She got new attorneys. Why did she have to get new attorneys? Did her old attorneys realize, yeah, you don't really have a case, this isn't winnable, and we don't want to take it any further? So she found another group of ambulance chasers who were a bit more desperate and grabbed them. But by the way, folks, if she lost her attorneys in the middle of the case, that tells you something.
Allegations. Then she got new attorneys. Seeing that threats alone were insufficient, they filed a case in court and tried to make me look like a monster. I successfully moved part of the case into arbitration, where we had agreed to resolve any disputes.
Okay, does that sound familiar? Tiger Woods. Him and his ex were supposed to go to arbitration. Erica Herman's like, yeah, I don't want to go to arbitration now. I want to go through the courts where I can appeal. I don't want to go to arbitration. So these fellas have been crossing their legal T's and dotting their legal I's. But there's a never-ending stream of scumbags out here who are just saying, yeah, let's see if we can drag you. So these guys are like, yeah, if you're going to be my girlfriend, if anything happens, we break up or whatever, we got to go to arbitration. You can't sue me in court. Okay, that's fine. As soon as you break up with them, yeah, damn that, let's go to court. Yeah, let's do that. So it's not because these fellas are not doing their due diligence and not running it by attorneys and not setting it up. It's not because that's not what they're doing. And I'm showing you person after person who's done that. I want you to understand the environment that we're in. Welcome to the evil ex-girlfriend era.
As their legal losses mounted, they became increasingly unhinged in what they were willing to say. Sadly, global media ate it up. On March 31st, 2023, after extensive motions, depositions, and discovery, the arbitrator dismissed all her causes of action that had been referred to arbitration and ordered that my accuser pay me $500,000 to reimburse attorney's fees I'd been forced to spend defending my innocence. The ruling and award were confirmed by an active Superior Court judge on September 29th, 2023. After years of litigation, the corroborating evidence my accuser had of any of my accused wrongdoings, nothing. Not a single thing. In considering my accuser's attempt to invalidate the separation agreement she had signed, the arbitrator, a well-respected retired judge, pointed out that my accuser's, quote, undisputed conduct and testimony refute her claims. In other words, my accuser's own evidence contradicted her own story.
Sound familiar to what the judge in the Tiger Woods case said about Erica Herman? By the way, we asked you for your evidence. You made claims. When we asked for your evidence, you didn't actually have any. So what this tells us is your goal the whole time was not to provide evidence. It was, I need an excuse to break the NDA, and if I publicly threaten you with exposing your personal business, will you pay me to be quiet because I don't actually have anything that you owe me, or you don't actually have anything that you owe me. So let's see if I can extort you over your personal business. And since there is no legal penalty for doing so, it's a free fire zone. Let the games begin.
This is noteworthy as my accuser's day job is chief storytelling officer at an implantable medical device company where trust is life and death. This entire thing has been bizarre and surreal. My accuser's attorney were sanctioned by the judge, a severe reprimand that courts reserve for truly egregious behavior, for making, as the judge wrote, quote, serious allegations factually and legally baseless and frivolous.
So these are attorneys, licensed attorneys who went into court saying things that were nakedly untrue, and courts are incredibly biased towards attorneys. The bar associations, your legal state attorneys associations, they're supposed to sanction attorneys for bad behavior. They are incredibly lenient with attorneys, and in this case, the attorneys here wound up getting sanctioned and fined by the judge. That's just how egregious what they had done was. This practically never happens, and yet this is what the court did. That should give you some idea of how outrageous it was and how obvious it should have been to them that this was not worth pursuing. They were going after it because, well, he's got the bag and he does some quirky things, so let's see if he's willing to pay good money to shut us up, or we have credibility to release his personal business and his personal habits. Now, in America today, if a female accuses you of a sex crime, she gets to do it anonymously. She gets to do it anonymously. And yet, if you're being falsely accused of something, you don't have a right to anonymity. So very obviously, it's the goal to go after you.
Unquote. Her lawyers were ordered to pay the court a fine of $2,500. In our settlement discussions, I insisted her attorneys pay some of what she owed for their complicitness. It would have been so easy to relent and quietly make this go away. That's what nearly everyone does, but I am not guilty, and they gave me no choice but to spend 2 years litigating to defend my innocence. Giving in and paying up would have been an injustice to me, an injustice to society, enabling this twisted practice.
But that's what usually occurs. That's what usually happens. If you are big enough and you have enough to lose, and it would be more of an inconvenience and a problem for you to fight these things than it would be to simply get rid of it, then the calculus that's being made today is, yeah, I'm your girlfriend, but you gonna give me a dowry, you gonna give me some alimony, is what you gonna give me. Or I'm going to leverage the extraordinary access that I've had to you, and I'm gonna see if I can leverage that to harm you. And since there are no penalties for me to do so, well, that's all we have to do. That's all we have to do. That's it. That's it. So now you've got this situation where, they call them slip and fall attorneys. If somebody sits up here and they slip and fall in the grocery store, there's always somebody there willing to take your lawsuit. Well, now it's like, hey, ladies, like the asbestos lawsuits or whatever. Hey, have you dated a famous celebrity? Well, if you accuse him of a crime, we can get you a settlement. This is where we're at now. Hey, ladies, have you dated a famous celebrity? If so, I can help you. Here at the law offices of Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe, we can go ahead and file this lawsuit here. Have you dated a celebrity? Do you have personal, damaging, or embarrassing information you can use against them? Have you signed an NDA? Well, don't worry about that. Here at the law offices of Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe, we know how to get you around that and get you the money that you don't deserve but desperately need. Call 1-800-SHYSTER. That's 1-800-SHYSTER. Someone's available to answer the phone 24 hours a day. And this is where we're at. This is where we're at. Now, for those of you who didn't know, by the way, for those of you who are unaware, surveillance videos come out of the night in question that actor Jonathan Majors got into the alleged incident with his girlfriend. I mean, in the middle of the street. Fellas, watch out for a chick who is prone to do stuff in public. If she raises her voice, if she draws attention to you, anyone who knows me knows that that is a deal breaker. That's a zero tolerance event. I don't deal with chicks who draw attention. If I didn't make the call that I set it up so attention is on you, don't draw attention to yourself and definitely don't do it around me. I don't deal with that. So fellas, I'm giving you fair warning. If you are with a female who draws attention to herself by being loud, by being gaudy, worst of all, by being disrespectful, if she draws attention to herself when you're around, that's supposed to be a zero tolerance event. Dude, she's letting you know she is a security threat. She's a security hazard. If she draws attention, especially in public, oh, hell no. That's not something supposed to ever happen twice. The first time that you see that even the signs are there that she's capable of it, she's supposed to get her pink slip that day. Don't even explain to her why you're doing it. Fellas, you have been warned. I don't care how nice she is, congenial she is. I don't care how much she smiles. I don't care how on point the bedroom game is. I don't care how articulate she is. I don't care how well dressed she is. I don't care how round her rump is. If she's a female who draws attention to herself with out of line, disrespectful, contemptuous, or just gaudy behavior, stop it right then. That is a major red flag warning sign that will, not might, not may, it will come back to bite you. When she decides to go nuclear and decides to self-destruct, she's going to try to take you with her when she goes down. Now, when you take a look at the video here, middle of the damn intersection, you can see the SUV pulls up here at the light. The SUV pulls up at the light because they got cameras everywhere in New York City. Pulls up at the light, and there they are jumping out. She's sitting up here. He's trying to put her back in the truck because she's trying to chase him and hold on to him. He's trying to put her back into it at the middle of the street of a red light now. So he gets out, he's walking, he's trying to not make a scene, and you can see she's grabbing his arm. He's trying to, hey, let me go do it. Let me get a cab. I'm gone. She's holding his arm. He's like, let me go. So you got a black man running down the streets of New York City where there's a cop every 15 feet in New York. I've been there many a moon. And yet not one for him when he is literally running. And it's crazy because when he breaks out running here, he goes running for blocks. I mean, he's like Carl Lewis. He breaks out running for. Do you see this? This isn't minor. This is major. He's literally running for blocks. Where's the police? Where's the good Samaritan? This white woman is obviously chasing him, and they're saying, understand, this is the video of them saying that he's assaulting her. This is Jonathan Majors right here. This is him assaulting the woman chasing him. Only in Western society. This is only in a white supremacist society you could see something like this. Yes, sir, you are so clearly assaulting her. Can't you see that she is the victim of assault? As she grabs your arm and is attempting to chase you down. Well, yes, clearly she's the victim here. Just like Trayvon Martin. Yes, Trayvon Martin was the assailant. Why, if she catches up with you and can tackle you to the ground, well, if you try to stop her from tackling you, see, you're the assailant. Why, don't you all see how far, do y'all see how far this man done run? And he ain't even running a little bit. He is booking. He's not jogging, he's booking. He's just going on and on. He's like Forrest Gump. And yet they said this is him assaulting her. She is a victim of assault as she chases him for blocks. And not a police officer anywhere. She just ran in front of those cars. Folks, is this not mentally and emotionally unstable? She literally just ran in front of these cars. He's not running in front of the cars. She is. She ain't even trying to stop. She's literally running in front of those cars. And yet the prosecutor's like, well, clearly he's assaulting you. What the hell kind of Alice in Wonderland looking through the looking glass world are we in? Look at Jonathan still zooming, people. He's still going. And she's like, oh, that nigga been working out. When I was doing all them drugs and drinking, I should have been working on my cardio. Yeah, I should have been working on my cardio while he was. Yeah, he was. Yeah, I didn't know he was. Oh, so that's what he been doing. Oh, boy, wore me out. This is what it means to be a man in America, a man with some money and status in America today. Women go insane. While I got some jackass trying to tell me about what Diddy supposedly or allegedly did to somebody. And this is what men got to deal with. If you got the bag, if you got status, this is your life. This is what you have to live with. Right here. This man is literally on video sprinting, and the prosecutors are saying, obviously he's assaulting her. He's walking, obviously he's done it. Can't you see? Now they've had this video now since the incident occurred. They've had all this video since then, and they're still trying to prosecute him. They're telling you that this is evidence of him assaulting her. This where we at, folks. Just like Michael Irvin at that hotel at the Marriott, with the white chick sitting up here grabbing his arm and then claiming he assaulted her. Hey, you know, you ain't married to nobody right now. Let me see if I can extort a bag. Half of you ain't even my girlfriend. Yeah, well, we just met, so go ahead and drop it off. Go ahead and drop it off. And of course, because she's there, there was nobody else around. She's found some good white Samaritans to sit up here. So, by the way, the niggers beat me up and whatnot. You mean the one you were chasing down the street, ma'am? You mean him? You mean this is the guy who's beating you up? You mean the one who's running from you? You mean him? Yeah, he beat me up. You mean the one who's in fear of his life running down the street from you? That's the one who beat you up. Yes. Was he beating you up here? Yes. Are you afraid right now? Yes. Even while you're chasing him? Yes. Is he a threat to you? Of course. Even as he's breaking across the street running? Yes. He's a threat to me. Are you a threat to the traffic in New York? No. No. And I'm just warning the fellas out there. A lot of you think to yourselves, well, I'm not Diddy. I ain't got to worry. I'm not Jonathan Majors. Man, in many ways, you're more vulnerable. If this is what can happen to these guys, and they're world-renowned, they're public figures, and suing them is so obviously a fool's errand. They got the best attorneys, or at least they can afford them. If this is what happens with them, what the hell do you think is going to happen with your unknown ass? What do you think is going to happen with you? Welcome to the evil ex-girlfriend era, and I wanted to give you fellas one last warning here. Fellas, if you're a man who's got it made, if you're a fella whose money is straight and you got high levels of disposable income, I'm giving you a warning right now that you better remember for the rest of your lives. Your daddies didn't have to deal with this. Your great-granddaddies, your great-great-great-granddaddies, your grandfathers, your daddies, they didn't have to deal with this. You do. And I'm warning you to remember this. There is no such thing as an ex-girlfriend anymore. Not anymore, there isn't. There is no such thing as an ex-girlfriend, not anymore. They have opened up the floodgates so that any heifer that you have spent any significant amount of time with, any chick who can describe the inside of your home, they've given her leverage. I'm warning you. Look, I'm the guy who told you all there's no such thing as a good girl. And I stood by it and stand by it to this day. There's no such thing as a 40-year-old dime. There's no such thing as a good girl. And fellas, if you're a guy in the top 5% or higher, there is no such thing as an ex-girlfriend. None. They believe that they can float in and out of your life at will. And if it turns out that she thinks you are no longer available, she feels entitled to your affection and your status and your resources, that she has a right to it, and that she has the right to come and go as she chooses for the rest of her days. What? For the rest of her days. She has a right to it. If you're a fella who's making real money, if she's been with you, she's like, I got a lifetime pass for that. This is the mentality that's happening today. This is the mentality that's going on now. This is the mentality that we are in right here, right now. And I'm just doing my best to warn you fellas now, in case nobody ever told you. I'm doing my best to warn you, hey man, there's no such animal as an ex-girlfriend anymore. There's no such animal as that. None. None. You fellas telling yourselves, she's an ex. I'm like, okay, man, no, she's not. She's a creeper. But Jason, man, go ahead and say it. Well, Jason, she left me. I have nothing to worry about because she's the one who broke off the relationship. Man, look here. Man, look here. I got a bunch of dudes. Let me find out something right now. Let me show you something. To all of my divorced men in the chat room, to the divorced men listening live or recorded, if you have had a female that you've been married to, she filed for divorce, drug you through the damn courts and divorced you. And then after you all got divorced, she went off with another dude or whatever. And then a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years later, she tried to spin the block and gave you the hey boo phone call. And what you doing? If that is you, give me the telephone emoji in the chat room. Or if you watch this recorded, give me the phone emoji in the comments section. If you were married to a chick, and she was the one who filed for divorce on you, and then after she got that divorce, you like, well, she filed for it, and okay, well, I guess that's the end of that. And then years later, she spins the block. And next thing you know, it's like, wait a minute, is this you? Hey, boo, what's going on? Carrie, not you too. Y'all, Carrie been through some things. Not you too, Carrie. Not you too. I bring this up to you tonight as a warning to you fellas that if you move on to bigger and better things, if things get better, I want you to understand. She's like, hey, I got a right to be here. I have the right to enter your life and exit whenever I choose. And if my naked, shameless attempt at monkey branching doesn't work out, well, I have a right to come back to you. Because you see, as the man, you have to stand by everything you said. You have to be honorable. You have to be honest. You have to be loyal. I don't have to do that. If I want to be with you, I can. And if I don't, I have the right to leave. And if I don't like, if I just want to punish you, I have the right to lie. And whatever the case may be. I have the right to break up the relationship. I have the right to break up the home. I have the right to mess up the kids. I got the right to do that. And then if I decide later I've changed my mind, well, I've got the right to turn right back around and say, oh, well, let me back in again. And understand, in my chat room right now, these are middle class or upper middle class guys we're dealing with here. Imagine if you're dealing with a fellow who's in that top 5%. Imagine if you're talking about that guy. Well, if you're one of those fellas and you're in the top 5% and you've got access to that kind of funds and that kind of status, take a look on your screens and you can see the stratas. And by the way, next year, by the end of next year, I'm letting you all know that these numbers are obsolete. For the past 4 years, folks been regurgitating the numbers that they heard from Kevin Samuels and the Manosphere. Jason Black was the only person the whole time saying that those numbers that all those people were giving out were not accurate, that the numbers are actually considerably higher. I'm bringing you the proof right here. And this is just from, you can find these numbers from Investopedia. They had an article about it. But in any case, there's a number of other sources, and that's just from 2020. By the time we get to next year, I'm just letting you all know these numbers on your screen, that bottom, the top 10% isn't going to be 100. You all been told the top 10% is 100,000. I was telling you it was more than that, considerably more. They let you know the top 10% is actually 173,000. And I submit to you that by this time next year, to be in the top 10%, you have to make a 200,000. Not 100,000. You have to make 200,000 to be in the top 10%. That's what I estimate by this time next year. To be in the top 5%, look for that number to be over 400,000. And to be in the top 1%, look for that number to be over $1 million, or to be right at $1 million by this time next year. Fellas, if you holding like that, if you are holding like that, dude, they can't afford to let you go. Even if things get rough, the environment gets abrasive, they can't afford to let you go permanently. Yeah, they'll tell you that they can make it with Mr. Sad Sack mayonnaise, milk toast, plain Jane boring Bill. They'll tell you they can take that for a little bit, but they can't handle that. They can't handle that. Especially if you're a guy that with you comes not just financial benefits, but status. I want men here to understand status is an ephemeral quality that cannot be replicated or duplicated. But Jason, what is so important about status? Status is a result of a man's accomplishments. You can't impress people with accomplishments that don't actually impress them. If people are impressed by what a man has done, by what a man has accomplished, that's rare. You can't fabricate or fake that. Either he got it or he doesn't. Either he has it or he doesn't. So you see, that's how you can have fellas who got a bunch of money, but they don't have status. You also got fellas who got status, but may not be sitting on millions of dollars, but they have status. This is why people gravitate to athletes. They've achieved status regardless of their pay grade. And this is how crazy and nutty that folks will go. This is how crazy they will get and how nutty it can be. And if you're wondering why it is, it's like, man, because to get with a man with status requires sacrifice. Let me go ahead and show you something right here. This is a chick right here sacrificing. She gave up Ryan Leslie. Ryan trying to backtrack it. All right. She's giving up hair. She's out there in public. You can't walk into this backwards. Baby, you are documented. Diddy got a title and a deed with your name on it. You belong to Diddy. You belong to the street. Because that man has status. When he walks in a room, everybody knows who he is, and all of them start humming music that he made. Understand what that really is about. I want the fellas to understand. Don't let somebody sit up here and fool you. If you never had somebody define for you, explain to you what status is, I'm doing it for you right now. It's time to update your files.
Join me, and I will complete your training.
Status ain't something you can sit up here and throw out a job title and try to bluff your way through. Status is something that is public, that other people admire. You can't just sit up here and throw some title of a job title out there and get some status, or throw some award out there and get some status. It's got to be something that people recognize, that people like, that people envy, that people admire. When you say Bad Boy Records, you talking about the soundtrack of the late 90s into the 2000s. There were only 2 record labels that was making no headway at that time. Death Row and Bad Boys. That was it. Rockefeller doesn't really start making waves until later. And of course, the South takes over the game from the 99 coming into the 2000s. But let's just call it for what it is. Definitely from 93, but it's probably early 90s. The 90s were defined by Death Row and Bad Boys. Focus up here and hum the tunes all over the place. They can hum them all over the place. When they think about their childhood, when they think about their middle school years, when they think about their high school years, there was a song from Bad Boy Records that they rock with. There was a song from Bad Boy Records they rock with, and they still got it on their phone to this day. They still bumping it to this day. They're still playing it to this day. That gives Sean Combs status. When a person can write a song that encapsulates your feelings in a way in which you couldn't, you've got their respect, you've got their admiration, and they've now got status from you. So you see, when he walks in the room, folk don't just see a man, he engenders a feeling from their developmental years that can't be replicated nor fabricated nor made fake or phony. Either you got it or you don't. Either that person touched you at that point in your life and made that impact and impression on you, or they didn't. Anybody can make an album, but to make one that you play over and over again, that you're like, that's my jam, that's my song. Why do you all think that Versus popped off the way it did during the pandemic? Because everybody was shut in indoors. Yeah, but it allowed people an opportunity to stop and reflect and walk down memory lane. And you saw how that popped off as a result. It gave them a chance to walk down memory lane, and you saw how important it was to them. So to be next to that, that's the whole thing about it. To be Sean Combs is his accomplishments. You're not standing next to a man, you're standing next to an era. Like him or hate him, you're not standing next to a man, you're standing next to an era in history. And if you are the female who gets to stand next to him and you are one of the chosen, well, it is what it is. And you better fight to keep your spot. So when you go, folks, the 720 degrees of analysis you'll receive absolutely nowhere else. Get it through your head. You go from spending a decade standing next to an era in history, you go from that to dating a personal fitness trainer and telling everybody, oh, don't worry, I'm happy with this over here.
Auntie, chill.
I ain't got no problem with it. I'm perfectly fine. Me and Alex are getting along just fine. We're doing great. I've moved on. Oh, God, help me call a lawyer so I can sue, so I can get my name mentioned next to Diddy's. So I can tell him how traumatized I was about all those long, hot, sweaty nights and days at all these luxury hotels, about all the apartments that the luxury condos and apartments that I used to be in, the ultra luxury cars that I used to drive, that he paid for. And it wasn't just him tricking off money. He was accomplishing things. People admired him. He wasn't just some dude just sitting around. He was still out here moving and shaping and being admired and accomplishing things while I was with him. He was still changing the world while I was there. It wasn't his last act. He was still building on that. He was still building on that. And I was right there for the whole thing. Let me file this lawsuit so I can let you all know. Yeah, I miss that. I miss it. Because you see, he was able to pop off and I never could. And I presented you with the proof tonight that that's what it really is. That's what it always was. Fellas, it's not about having money, because you can have money with no status. But if you're a fella who's got money and the status that you've acquired, you got money, but you've acquired money, but you've also acquired status. Man, Katie barred the damn door. Here it comes. A man who is able to accomplish one thing, well, that's cool. But fellas who can accomplish more than one, that's rare. That's rare. That's what people admire. Folks don't admire a idiot, goofball, beta ass simp with some money, but they do admire a boss. They admire a man who is taking his piece of the world. A fella sitting on money don't matter. A fella who's out here competing, oh, that gives his money status. Let me say something right now. Folks ain't gonna like this, but it's real, but it's true. I gotta say it. I got to say it. There's some folks who ain't gonna like it, but it's real. There is a reason why we do not value lab-created artificial diamonds as much as we admire real ones. Oh, it's true. An artificial diamond will never be as valuable as a genuine earth diamond. And the reason why is because one of them was made in a matter of days and the other one was made over the course of millions of years. You are holding an era of history in your hands when you've got an authentic diamond in your hands. You've got something that in some cases may be older than mankind's civilization. Something that is older than mankind itself is sitting in your hand. A lab-created diamond can try to mimic those qualities, but at the end of the day, what the lab-created diamond cannot say is that I am hundreds of thousands or millions of years old. It can't say that. It is a mass-produced product that anybody can get. This other thing over here, you got to go to specific places. And yes, it costs. Real authentic diamonds have a human cost. I said it. Authentic diamonds, earth diamonds, have an authentic human cost. Lab-created diamonds don't. In other words, real earth-created diamonds have status. It has accomplished surviving for thousands or even millions of years. You can't fake that. Your artificial diamond, well, Jason, artificial diamonds, the qualities that you like in real diamonds, artificial diamonds, they're more luminous, they're more sparkly, they got a bigger color spectrum. You're right. They're perfect, Jason. Yes. Too perfect. Like veneers. Yeah, you look good, you look too good. That you betray the fact that you're not genuine. You're not going to like some of these things I'm going to say here, but it is true. It is true. Let me tell y'all something. People appreciate a cost. You can like Diddy, you can hate Diddy or whatever, but let's just be very, very clear. When you talk about P. Diddy, you also have to talk about his story. You have to relate his story. Everybody knows P. Diddy's story. Coming up from the streets, you saw the folks who came up with him. You see he's one of the last men standing. Like it or not, there's a story that goes with that. You're standing next to that too when you stand next to him. That's status. You can like him or hate him, but Tiger Woods has an historical pedigree. This man single-handedly changed the world of sports forever. Single-handedly. So when you are a female sitting next to him, everywhere he goes on this planet, he is recognized and respected. They were trying to bury his career after he got divorced from Ellen. And by the way, yet another white woman. Did he say white? I sure did.
And deal with it, nigga.
Another white woman who was literally chasing him down the damn street. Folks, how many times I gotta tell you? Remember, Ellen was chasing him with a damn golf club. She was chasing him with a deadly weapon. Ellen Nordegren was chasing Tiger Woods with a deadly weapon. Now, no one would ever sit up here and condone a man picking up a deadly weapon. Well, his woman cheated on him. Let me chase her with a golf club. The police would say we had to gun him down. Ellen was chasing him down the street, bashing the car in, busting the windshield with a deadly weapon in her hands. And folks just laughed that off. That wasn't funny. And why? Because she was fortunate enough to be able to make it all the way to the altar and to bear the genetic legacy of the greatest golfer who has ever existed. She got to carry the child of a living legend. She got to carry the child of an icon. That is every woman's fantasy. Every woman dreams of being with the ultimate alpha male who is at the top of his game in a very competitive arena. Not some old washed up has-been, which is why when men retire, they immediately start dying. This is a guy who is out there still competing, throwing elbows, bringing home championships. That will never get old to the female psyche. She will always desire the champion, the breadwinner who brings home the trophy. And she gets to sit next to him. Ain't no bigger way to floss than to be next to the boss. None. After that incident with Ellen, next thing you know, the media descended on him. They went after his endorsement deals. He committed no crime, but they went after him anyway to try to take his endorsement deals. Yeah, we've been waiting all this time. Let's see if we can knock him off. Then his back was giving him problems, and every news outlet everywhere was declaring that the era of Tiger Woods was over. They were attempting to emotionally batter him into retirement and submission. This was a concerted, organized effort by the white media to descend on him, to assault him and gang up on him, and to force him to destroy his career because they had done it to so many others before him. Let's see if we can scuttle his career. And they almost succeeded too. Don't you sit up here and delude yourself. They almost did it. They almost succeeded in doing it. Next thing you know, he's on the comeback trail, and they're saying the whole time he ain't gonna make it. Then when he starts winning, they say, well, maybe he'll make it, but the odds are against him. Then when he starts winning, is he gonna go all the way? Then when he went all the way and did it all over again, we told you, yeah. Oh, he's back at it. Oh, okay. But they were all ganged up against him. And she got to sit next to him. In the words of Drake, for those who didn't get here, at least you got to witness. If you wasn't a part of this, at least you got to witness. She got to sit right next to him, stand right next to him for the whole damn thing. Well, the second half of it there, she got to sit there and watch it, witness it, and have him claim her in front of the world. Yeah, Ellen was here for the first chapter. I'm here for the second. She was here for yesterday. I'm here for the here and now. Man, that's invaluable. You can't put a price tag on that. That she got to sit next to that. So when she sued him, she was trying to sue for the value of the status. She's like, at least your first wife got the genetic legacy. I should at least get the social one. This is why with Deion Sanders, as soon as he sends these females packing, next thing you know, they come out trying to kick dirt on him. You're not going to get another one like that. You get sent out to pasture. You got to get in where you fit in. You got to sit over there with Dinky Dan and Sam Sad Sack. You got to sit over there with them. You don't get to sit with the champ. You don't get to do this. You got to sit there and fantasize that this damn 5th place trophy is going to work out. It's like, no. Fellas, I'm telling you right now, if you are heavy in the game, if you're a fella out here who's in that top 5% or higher, you winning championships, buddy, you don't have an ex-girlfriend. You don't have an ex-wife. Not anymore. But I'm talking about the girlfriends in particular because where the wives are concerned, usually you've already been through the ringer in court and she doesn't really have anything else she can go after you with because she already shot her shot. She already shot her wad. But for you fellas out here who are not married, you fellas out here who got girlfriends, I want you to understand, welcome to the Terror Dome. Welcome to the Terror Dome. This is it. You're worried about your competitors in business. You're worried about your competitors at the job. You're worried about your competitors in your industry or in your career field. Man, you better be watching out about that competitor sitting in your damn bed. You better be worried about that one right there, dude. Or should I say the one who was there, because welcome to the era. Everybody's trying to cash in for their hoe pension now. What? Everybody's trying to cash in for their hoe pension. Can I say it? Can I say it? Let me remind you one more time right here. I'm telling you all, not as a fellow who heard about it, I'm telling you as a fellow who been there. P. Diddy talked about he went to the Mandarin Oriental in New York City. I know it well. Let me tell you right there, anybody who has actually stayed at the Mandarin Oriental, and I don't mean just stayed in the Mandarin Oriental, I mean if you stayed in one of the signature suites, If you have actually stayed in one of the signature suites at the Mandarin Oriental in New York City, Columbus Circle, let me tell y'all, it lives up to the name. It lives up to the name. When you got folk like Liam Neeson and major Hollywood stars doing commercials for that thing, it lives up to its name. You hit the elevators, you go up to the lobby. Everything they do it well. In New York City of all places, everybody at that place is polite. Everyone there is polite. I can't name another place in New York City that I've seen that where everybody in the building, all the employees are universally polite. I'm like, y'all must be from Louisiana. No, middle of New York City. And then when you get up to the rooms, everything's laid out nice. The beds are wonderful. The lighting is great. Floor to ceiling windows. They got the damn chocolates and the creme brulee in there with, if you got a signature suite, they got the chocolates and the creme brulee in there. They got the card with the little card with your name on it. Hello, Jason. Welcome to the Mandarin Oriental. We're glad to have you here. Please enjoy our signature chocolates. They got signature chocolates waiting for you in the room. They got creme brulee that they come up and bring to you later. If you have a signature suite for the other stuff there, I don't think it works for you that way. No offense. No offense. Let me tell you. Oh, and the view of Central Park. That's one of the only places where you don't have to live in one of those condos over there. You got a view of Central Park, a high-rise hotel with a view of Central Park. What I'm telling you is that a chick gets very used to that very quickly. She gets very used to that very quickly. The signature suites in that place are like little apartments. Open floor plans. Open space. In New York City, at nighttime, the view is fabulous. At nighttime, it's neon lights and everything else, but it's not overwhelming, which is rare, but it's lit up outside. You can see the city that never sleeps. They got the spotlights and stuff. It's because on one half is Central Park. On the other half is you're looking at the city landscape. Gorgeous view. It's a gorgeous view. You get used to that very quickly. You get very used to that very quickly if you a chick. You go down to the lobby and they're calling you by name because they keep up with everybody who got a signature suite. So when you go there, when you go to the restaurant, which is right there at the side of the lobby, the reception desk, when you go up the elevator, concierge is right there in front of you to the left. Reception desk is over there to the right. Keep walking forward and that's the restaurant. With yet again a view of the city. Yet again a view of the city. You get used to that very, very quickly. You don't want, if you're a chick, you ain't trying to have nobody show you the damn door. And if you actually get the ability to sit there and enjoy that, you ain't trying to give that up. You're damn sure not trying to hand it off to somebody else so they can have it. You ain't trying to have that. So fellas, I want you to understand that if you done took a chick all the damn way, you done took her to Glory Road, man, let me warn you right now, she's not going to forget that. And if you take somebody else, she's going to try to keep a stiff upper lip for a moment. But she's like, hey, I remember what that status was like. That was cool. I need to get some of that. That was cool. I need to get me some of that. Matter of fact, let me get all of that there. If she sees somebody else with it, that's not going to work. That is not going to work. She is going to let you know, I ain't trying to have that. Don't you know Diddy was sitting here saying, well, don't worry, I ain't got nothing to worry about. Cassie has moved on. She's got her lame ass milquetoast little personal trainer who used to be my little sidekick. I'm good. Let me move on to the next. Young Miami, young Tennessee, young Memphis, young Atlanta. I'm just young everything. Here comes Cassie back again. I got some lawyers. Remember me, nigga? What you mean you gonna give somebody else that condo and give somebody else those apartments? She knows how he gets down. You just know all he's gonna do, he move you out and move another one in. And all she's thinking about is that's supposed to be me. And no shade. As far as the music business is concerned, no shade. I'm not throwing any shade at Ryan Leslie. Ryan Leslie, as far as an independent music act is concerned, I got all the respect in the world for Ryan Leslie. As far as an independent music act, I got respect for him. But I got to keep it real. Ryan ain't on that level. I just got to keep it real there. I'm like, hey, Ryan's not on bad boy level. So I'm glad to see if things have worked out or whatever, or, y'all are friends or whatever in the world y'all two are doing. Okay, that's cool and all. That's cool. But by the same token, same bad boy records, by the same token, that's not what's going on. So Jason, why are you saying that? What I'm saying is that if she is demanding to get that shine that she used to have with the bad boy set, if she is still demanding and still craving to have that level, to have attention and status on that level, Ryan can't give you that. He's a nice guy. He's congenial. He's probably down to earth. Not a bunch of drama going on. Yeah, but he's never going to be able to get you the status and the shine that you had when you were with Diddy. That ain't happening. Now, are you okay with this? Can you handle that? Can you handle no longer being important the way you were? Can you handle looking at the man next to you and just accepting this is the best he's ever going to be? This is all he's ever going to have. He ain't striving for anything. He's not fighting for anything. This is going to be it right here. This is all he's ever going to be. This is all I'm ever going to get. I will never get status being with him. Nobody is going to be like, wow, I'm impressed you're with him. It's just, you just with a dude. Now, can you handle that? Are you okay with that? Or is there a part of you that is still looking back longingly on that era when you were winning? No, not sitting up here telling yourself you winning. I'm talking about other people were coming up to you and asking you about your dude and how did you get him and how did you get to be on that level, and you can see the envy in the eyes of other females. I'm talking about that. Fellas, your girlfriends are suing your asses now. If you're a guy who can do that, and in this social media influencer age, there's more and more fellas getting that kind of thing going. Man, these chicks now are suing your ass. They're suing you. Hey, let me tell you right now, Jason, you be talking like you above people. Nigga, don't you know I'm vulnerable? What? I'm not sitting here telling you anything different. It's like, hey, man. Don't y'all know I be looking in the rearview mirror to see if I see a familiar female face following me? Hold on now. I thought we was done back in 98. I'm not immune to it. Fellas, and when you get to a certain level, when you get to a certain point, nigga, guard your grill. Watch your neck. It can happen to any of us. This is where we at. We didn't marry anybody. We didn't get nobody pregnant. We didn't get nobody no STDs. We haven't committed a crime. That ain't gonna help you. That is not going to help you. You didn't commit a crime, sure, but can you keep someone from saying that you did? No. And you be sitting there talking about, well, this heifer broke up with me. Diddy, here she come. She was like, yeah, things didn't work out with me and the other fella. Oh, okay, well, You know, remember what I told you at that award show that I wish you well? Well, heifer, I wish you wells. Go do what you do. She's like, oh no, you and me ain't done yet. We're not. What do you mean by that? Well, I contacted the law offices to whoop your ass, and they got a message for you. That's the part I'm trying to tell you fellas now. These are the rules of engagement. This is what's going on. This is what's going on. There is no such animal as an ex-girlfriend. Not anymore. Fellas, there's no such animal as an ex. Not anymore. If you have something of value, and today value is money and status. God help you if you got the money, but there's no help if you got the status. Something's going to happen. Not it might. Now, we may never hear of it. You might handle it behind closed doors and get swept under the rug. Who knows? But if you're a fellow who got money, you are in moderate danger. If you got money and status, you are in high danger. You are at high risk. You're at high risk because there's too much to gain by her coming back and taking a pass at you, and there's too little to lose. She's got everything to gain and nothing to lose. Think about that for a few moments. You're up against an enemy who has everything to gain now and nothing to lose if she lies. She can just come in here and just straight lie. She's got everything to gain and absolutely nothing she's going to lose. Except some time. And that's all. That's all. I want you fellas to understand this. And some of you have lulled yourselves in the false senses of security. Some of you have told yourself that, well, don't worry, she's monkey branch somewhere else. She's off doing her thing. I'm free and clear. All I can say to you is, I hope so. I hope you're right. I hope you're correct about that. I hope you are. Because if you're not, if she really meant some of that stuff she was saying to you, if you making her jump through those hurdles and do them things, and some of you fellas, you have exercised dark game. Some of you have exercised dark game. Some of you dudes, y'all got chicks who got tattoos of your name in places where the next nigga can't overlook it. What? Some of y'all fellas done did stuff like that. Some of you fellas done had chicks sit up here and do scarification. Some of you fellas done sat up here and had chicks post on social media some unforgettable things. Some of you fellas got your broad on not just OnlyFans, you got her on Pornhub and a few other places. The camera sees her, nothing sees you. Oh, the camera sees her, but there ain't nothing seeing you. Some of you fellas done did that. Some of the fellas sitting in here right now listening to me, she was so sprung, she was so lit. Some of y'all had the little chick doing that. Fella, you think she's just going to ride off into the sunset while you sit up here and run with somebody else? Especially, worst of all, if things continue progressing and getting better. Well, I certainly hope you're correct. I hope you're right about that. I hope you are. But just in case Jason has called it yet again that this is the era that we are in now, just in case I'm correct about that, or have you covered your bases. Fellas, we couldn't have had an OnlyFans 30 years ago. Do you understand that? OnlyFans wouldn't have worked 30 years ago. Not by itself, not as a singular entity. OnlyFans works for one reason, because you have social media. The only reason that OnlyFans works is because women were prepped. MySpace prepped them, Facebook prepped them, Twitter prepped them, Instagram prepped them. All those things prepared them first. It prepared them to show themselves, to be exhibitionists, to get very comfortable expressing themselves sexually publicly in front of strangers. It became a training ground for amateurs. So you see, if we don't have MySpace and Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, we don't get OnlyFans because you haven't done the necessary indoctrination and conditioning to get these females to be comfortable enough to do that. OnlyFans has simply capitalized on the change in female culture in the last decade. So you see, you don't get there if you don't have that change in the overall culture first. Eliminate social media, you don't get OnlyFans, not what you have today. Yeah, you've always had some chicks who did that, but they had to be curated and handpicked by some dudes or some companies that already had clout. Not just individuals just saying, this is our culture. This is our culture, and this is what we do. You don't have that. You didn't have that. And it wouldn't work. So now you've got OnlyFans, and what I'm warning you of now is that represents a bellwether change in the culture now, that it is now the culture, just like it wasn't the culture before that random females taking pictures of themselves, selfies. Remember, do you all remember what a revolution that was when the word selfie got invented? You know how awkward you look taking a picture of your damn self in the mirror? That is the height of narcissism. And yet every female you all know has a bunch of selfies on her page. A bunch of them. That represents a paradigm shift in female culture. Before now, you were considered a vain, conceited narcissist. You weren't just considered a female who was kind of stuck on herself. That would have been narcissism. Today, narcissism is female culture, and they are 100% comfortable with it. Well, guess what? The disease doesn't stop there. It just progresses. And part of that progression now is going to be the idea that they're entitled, that she has the right to force you to give up what she wants. She has the right to force that. So OnlyFans is a place where you popularized that particular behavior. Now the others are popularized. Now the others are doing that. Now the others are. This is where we're at today. You had her doing all these things. You had her putting herself out there. She doesn't get to do that 2 or 3 times. And she only did that because you were the top of the mountain. And now you're telling her she got to go somewhere else? Let me tell you, females today don't believe in consolation prizes. Fellas, we're not discussing dating. To the dunderheads and the ADHD kids out there, by the way, I'm not discussing dating. I'm talking about power dynamics. Fellas, women don't believe in consolation prizes. When a woman is with a guy who's a consolation prize, she doesn't celebrate him. She torments him. You're a consolation prize. She says, I'm here to torment you. Any fella here who has been a consolation prize, any fella here who you know that she used to be with a dude. He had more status, he had more prestige, he had more money, he had more notoriety, he had more accomplishments, he had more competitiveness, he had more drive. When when she meets you and you don't have all that, when you're the fella that, well, I grew to love him. Okay, believe that if you want to. Dude, every fella in here, I'm not going to even make you self-identify. I'm not even going to make you self-identify. I won't make you do it. But I will just say that any fella who's been in that position where you realize, hey, I'm just her consolation prize. You can just put the package emoji in the chat room or the comment section if you're listening to this recorded. If you woke up one day and realized, by the way, I'm not the top of the mountain for her. I'm just her consolation prize. She's just here, but I can see all the signs that the real nigga she wanted to deal with, he wasn't available. He wouldn't commit. He wasn't available. He wasn't down with it. She couldn't get what she wanted. So she over here with me because she couldn't get what she really wanted. So now she's over here with me smiling, going through the motions. But as a man, y'all got to understand something, ladies. As men, our survival depends on our ability to sniff out a phony and a fake. Our ability to survive as men, our survival depends on our ability to detect a phony. If a person, or particularly a woman, is laying next to us and she ain't real, she's saying things that are not really true, her heart's not in it, just understand, you might succeed in fooling a guy, but that's a guy that the rest of us don't respect, because as men, we understand a man who is easily fooled is a man who is easily killed. So we're not going to tolerate being next to a sucker. That's why when you see Simpson betas, females who are looking to exploit sit next to them, but you don't see men fool with no betas, not in groups, we don't. Our survival depends on our ability to be able to detect deception, to detect when there's a lack of integrity. Our survival depends on it. So when a female is able to make her third or fourth choice and say, okay, let me go ahead and land you, just understand she knows, and that was a stupid move on your part. Yeah, you went for it and you did it, but that was dumb. Yeah, because you're my consolation prize. How many fellas here think that a female appreciates a consolation prize? Like, dude, you're not really what we were looking for here. What do you mean? Well, you're a nice guy, but you're just a dance. You're just a personal trainer. Folks, the most powerful drug in the world, the most powerful drug ever created, and yes, it is created, the most powerful drug ever isn't heroin, isn't OxyContin, isn't fentanyl. It is attention. It is adoration. In the chat room, you said fame. That is the most powerful drug ever. I remember Scott Hall, the late Scott Hall, professional wrestler. If you remember Razor Ramon, but the late Scott Hall talked about that. If you all want to know why it is that so many men who have gone into professional wrestling have walked out there, gotten on drugs, gotten injured for life, died. You want to know why they did it? He said that if you've ever had the experience of walking into an arena and you have 20,000 people chanting your name, he said the only thing you're going to ask is, damn, where can I get 10 more doses of that? Because there's nothing else like it. I don't care how bad of a childhood you had. When you walk into a place and there's 50,000 people chanting your name, 80,000 people chanting your name. They're screaming it in unison. You can see that all of these people from disparate walks of life, they're all in unison in their adoration and affirmation of you. They are saying your name and chanting it so loudly that you literally can feel the sound waves thumping against your chest. You can feel it. They're stomping in the arena so loudly that it registers on the Richter scale, literally. Let me tell you, that's a life-changing moment. You will never be the same human being that you were when you walked out there and there were tens of thousands of people shouting your name, chanting your name. You walk into random restaurants or random places and there are people chanting your name, saying, hey, just at random. You will never get over that. Your life will never be the same. You will never be the same person. You can't go back to the way you were. There's no way. And you'll never forget it. Oh, you'll try to convince some folks you'll be all right, but you won't forget this. You'll never forget this. And that is why when I mentor certain folks here, oh yes, I'm telling you all right now, when I do my patron and I mentor some of these folks here on the dark arts, one of the things I let the fellas know here is that do with it what you will, but I'm here to educate you about the power of status, the power of attention. Let these fellas know money is something that you use not to purchase goods and services. Money is something that you use to purchase goodwill. I've taught you all this now for over a decade and a half. And as a man, the most powerful thing that you can do with your money is not to purchase goods and services. It is to purchase goodwill. Because once you've got that, that opens not doors but nations to you. That opens doors, but more importantly, opens nations. It opens nations to a man who knows what to do. And when you invite, if you're a man who is able to curate and invite a woman, if you're a man who is able to invite a woman into that world of attention and adoration, I'm telling you guys, you don't even have to be a millionaire to do that. You don't. Although it's going to be a lot harder because if everything doesn't match, well, it's just a facade, but you can certainly use it to make an impression. You can certainly use it to make an impression. Jason, what do you mean? Let's go ahead and talk about Cassie here for just a moment. Let me go ahead and just walk you through that thing for just a minute here. So for Cassie, you want to go to the hair salon. She goes to the hair salon. You done chose the people. You got them there by name. Fellas, you want to know what gets a woman's attention and gives her status is when you book her hair appointment and the stylist and everybody, they know that it was a man who booked it, but it's the woman who's going to get it. That's what gives a woman status. Oh yeah, one more thing. More importantly, you don't go with her. She goes by herself. You booked it. You paid for it. You set it up. She goes by herself. That gives her status. Now, if you really want to flex and you pull up with an expensive car at the end of it, right when they're getting her out from up under the dryers or whatever, they're getting ready to get finished with her, you pull up with some $150,000, $200,000 car and come walking into the place, all eyes are on you and you're there for her. Her status just skyrocketed through the roof without you having to say a word. So in other words, your actions, not your words, spoke for you. Non-verbal communication is the most powerful communication. That was one. Want me to give you another one? I will. You send your chick to the spa. Send her to a place that does massages. Women love massages. Men don't value massages nearly as much as women do. Women really value that. They like that pampered treatment. Fellas, go ahead and send her to the spa. You make sure that you set the appointment up. Make sure that they are aware that it was a man who set it up and that you're setting it up for this woman. So when she shows up, everybody there is calling her by name. You've engineered a situation. She goes there by herself. Send her on her own. You do not go with her. You make sure that it's just clear to everybody there that it was a man who did this. When she shows up, they are all going to be like, oh, hell. You that chick. You make sure you make it clear to them. The only thing I want her to have to do is tell you what her name is. I don't want no fuss and no muss. When she shows up and says, yes, this is Mrs. Black, y'all go take her in the back and do your thing. I don't want to hear no mess. You do that, man, look here. Her status is skyrocketing. 99% of females don't get that. They're all sitting on Facebook lying, going on their girls' trips and paying for it themselves. When you're a man and you're the one who does that, that's what makes a woman feel, quote unquote, taken care of, because you've brought her. When they talk about bringing the woman into your frame, when you bring that into the frame. Now, understand, I'm not talking about tricking no money off. I'm talking about, though, that if she's done what she's supposed to do and it's time to feed the troops, if she's done what she's supposed to do on the battlefield and it's time to feed the troops, man, you don't throw the troops no damn scraps. Fellas, if you want to complete the circle, if you want to complete the circle of the dark arts, when it's time to feed the troops, you don't skimp. You don't skimp and you don't shortchange. You give them the finest cuts. You let them know they're with the winning team. But you don't tell them they're with the winning team. You show them. And that's why Diddy made it a point to take them to those kind of places, to take them to those boutique hotels, to take them to a place where that view of the city. There's a reason why certain folks and celebrities go to certain places when you got that view of the city. You can go to some places here. Is Jason about to blow it wide open? I'm about to do it for you. Y'all supposed to be paying thousands, by the way, but Jason gonna go ahead and do it for you here. And the good thing here is, you're dealing with the real damn thing when you talk to me, not somebody bluffing their way through this thing and making stuff up that isn't real. Downtown Atlanta, love the W, not the Westin, the W. And if you can get not the wow room, but if you can get the vice presidential suite or higher. To get higher than that, though, you usually have to make an arrangement. But every once in a while, vice presidential or higher, there's only one that's higher than that one, will be available. Once again, panoramic view, floor to ceiling windows, overlooking the Beltway. Downtown Atlanta, and it is gorgeous at night. And unlike the Mandarin Oriental in New York, there isn't another skyscraper blocking your damn view. Well, there is the other one. Well, there's the one. Actually, there kind of is, but it's not too much of an issue, to be totally honest. It's way over to the side, so. Way over to the side. But you get to sit there. You have a view of the whole horizon. You can get this. You're right there where the loop is, going through downtown. All night long, you got bright light, white lights and red lights. It's a gorgeous thing to see. And plus, they pane the windows in such a way it's not too loud. Sometimes the ambulances will go by and it's like, all right, there y'all go. But it's not too loud. But I mean, it's a huge room, lots of space. Once again, that's not something you forget. Uno in the chat room, no, you see, the problem is your mama is down there by, the Days Inn. That's the problem. No, the downtown Atlanta, no, you're thinking about the part that your mama is at when she's working the track. You think about that part. We're not talking about that part. Not the part where your family and your female relatives, we're not talking about where you were raised at. We're talking about there's another side over there. Yeah, you didn't know about that. There's another side over there. So, yeah. Don't worry about it. I know you're kind of traumatized. Like, my mama was out there. She called him Reginald. Nah, I know. You're traumatized. I get it. All right. Just please keep your trauma to yourself and just sit and learn. All right. Just sit and learn. Niggas watch their mama at the Econo Lodge and I hate downtown Atlanta. I hate it. No, nigga, you hate the Econo Lodge. You don't hate downtown Atlanta. You hate the Econo Lodge. That's what you hate. That's what you don't like. You don't like that one. You don't like that one. Not that one. In any case here, let me tell you here, I'm strapping y'all with the game here tonight. I'm trying to strap you with it so that you understand those kind of things. You understand those kind of things. And why it is that makes an unforgettable impression. I'm telling y'all right now, that makes an unforgettable impression. Some of you fellas, if you ever do get your chips stacked up, you can go stay at the Whitley if you want to, or you can stay at the other Mandarin Oriental, that's up to you. And you go by Lenox Mall, there's a reason why folks be flossing there, especially around Christmas time. I don't even have to go there right now. Christmas time in Atlanta at Lenox Mall, you're going to see Bentleys, you're going to see Mercedes, M series, not Mercedes M's, not this BMW M series, but the Mercedes, all the AMGs. You'll see those folks want to have the valets park their cars so they can floss walking up in the place and whatnot. Your chick ain't gonna forget that. Your chick is not gonna forget that. I can go down the damn list, but she's not gonna forget that. And she's not gonna want to go back to the way things were. That's why I'm warning you fellas, if you've ever actually had someone who was in that rare air and you got them there and you like, okay, well, you know what? Let's bygones be bygones, man. Look here. Don't you know she is still tweaking off that drug? Why do you think Hollywood starlets die trying to get plastic surgery and hold on to that, brother? When a female done got a real, true, genuine hit of status and attention and you were the dealer, I just want you to understand, I'm not guaranteeing that she's gonna do something. I'm just telling you, welcome to the evil ex-girlfriend era. She may not do something, but there will always be a threat. There will always be a threat. This is where we're at right now, today. It's always going to be a threat. Always. The more successful a man is today, I need you to understand what the new rules are. Well, Jason, how do we avoid this? There's no way to 100% avoid it, but I did notice that there were some similarities here. So if you all want to take a few moments here to go ahead and, I did notice some similarities, so if you do want to take a few moments to listen in here, we'll take this as your opportunity.
Join me, and I will complete your training.
Maybe we can update some of your files for you here. I noticed some things. One of the things that I noticed is that these were always the most successful attempts, even if they were just attempts. The most successful attempts at trying to shake somebody down, these didn't come from jump-offs. These came from chicks that these fellas claimed, females that they claimed publicly. And the more public you claimed her, the more you did publicly to claim her, the more leverage it seems or looks like they had to go after you, or at least try to go after you. So it seems to me, based on what I've seen and what I noticed here, is I noticed a similarity. That these were not just casual sex partners or, sometimes chicks they met up with. These were their girlfriends, women who saw the inside of their house, women who can tell you what he looks like naked in the daylight, women who can tell you where his assets are, women who are privy to insider information, not just some casual chick. Furthermore, these are females that these men were involved with over an extended period of time, which their attorneys were hoping would help solidify their claims. They were hoping that this would solidify their claims because these were not just casual friends or anything. These are not friends with benefits. These were their girlfriends who had been involved with them for an extended period of time, who had intimate access and insider information about these men's lives. So, in other words, what I'm saying is these are the chicks that you claim publicly and you let the world know that you took her seriously. These are the ones who you are most at risk of them coming back. These are the ones now in the environment that we are in that you are most at risk of her making a boomerang if things don't work out on the open market the way she wanted it to. Those are the ones who are at risk because if things go bad where they jump to, they're going to be very adverse to try to jump somewhere else. They're going to try to jump backwards where they were. They're going to try to go to a place where they got knowledge, where they have a history, where they feel like, well, I don't want to go to someplace unfamiliar because I got to start from zero all over again. Maybe it'll be safer to see if I can get somebody who already knows me and see if we can start from at least the 5th floor, not the ground floor. So I want you guys to understand that. I want you fellas to understand that that seems to be the overriding risk factor above and beyond everything else. I noticed that was the general central theme running through all these women is, by the way, these were these guys' long-term girlfriends. I'm not telling you that you can't have a long-term girlfriend. What I am going to tell you is that in the evil ex-girlfriend era, if she ever becomes an ex, you just understand the time you two spent together is now ammunition. Or at least she will make an attempt to convert it into ammunition. This is where we're at now, not where we're on our way to. This is where we're at today. This is where we're at today. No, she doesn't have to be a common law wife, and she's not a common law wife. We're talking about females who are just straight up girlfriends who are saying, if you won't give me the resources, because once again, let's be very, very clear about this. Another thing here that is a serious warning sign that I warn guys about. Yet another issue. Fellas, a female feels simply on the strength of the fact that she's been sleeping with you, simply on the strength of the fact that she's been opening her legs to you for 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years. She's like, oh, nigga, you owe me. You owe me for no other reason than the fact I gapped them legs. You owe me now. I've been telling you fellas this now over a decade. You all can say that females are irrational or whatever. This is what females think. Ladies, if y'all tell the damn truth, if some of y'all got some... Fellas, do you think if we ask the women, that they'll be honest? Ladies, how many of you for just one night only, I won't make you do this again. How many of you for one night only? Ladies, if we can get you to tell the truth, you say, Jason, I'll just be honest one time. That if a man has been sleeping with you long enough, if he's been sleeping with you for 2 or 3 or 4 years, you really do believe that simply for no other reason than the fact you've been opening your legs to him for 3 or 4 years, he owes you something. He owes you more than just the mutual benefit of sex, that if you had sex with him for an extended period of time, you owe me something. Give me the high heel emoji in the chat room, live, or in the comments section recorded. Ladies, if you can y'all just keep it real for one night? Who are the real women who gonna keep it 100 just one time? If a man been sleeping with you for 2 or 3 or 4 years, you really do believe he, just because you've been having sex with him, no other reason, the fact that you've, quote, allowed him to have sex with you, he owes you something for that. You're owed something. Something beyond sex. You've been giving him sex, and the payment is not sex. It's not mutual benefit. It's like, no, nigga, you've been living 2-3 years of me throwing these thighs up. Oh, you owe me something. You owe me. I owe you for what? The fact I've been opening these legs. What? Yes, you owe me. We got one female keeping it honest. Meanwhile, the rest of y'all are out here running niggas up flagpoles. So at least I can respect her. At least she telling the damn truth. The rest of them are sitting up here. I would never do. Oh no, I would never do that. I don't see it that way. And meanwhile, the fellas are out here telling you about what the hell's happening to us. Ladies, I just want you to understand, if you want to know why it is that men today play the game the way that they do, it's because take a look at how quick y'all are to lie. Knowing full damn well this is what y'all do. Your girlfriends are telling y'all. You sitting here with her bleeding her damn heart out to you for 2 damn weeks. And you're like, wait a minute, what did he do wrong? Well, he had just left. Well, how long y'all been together? 5 years. And she's mad as hell. Well, yeah, because I feel like he owes me something. You didn't increase his income. You didn't increase his wealth. You didn't increase his status. Yeah, but he owes me. Well, we got a few other females who are willing to keep it honest. The rest of y'all are lying pigs, but okay. We got a few real women. Most of them ain't, but we got a few honest ones. Let me tell y'all right now, every single one of you chicks up in here, I can ask about 2 or 3 of your ex-boyfriends. They'll have the same story I'm telling right now. It's like, man, Jason, don't believe that heifer. Don't believe that heifer. A woman believes that simply for no other reason than the fact that she's been having sex with you, as far as she's concerned, if I have deemed you worthy of throwing these legs open, you owe me something for that. Because I could have been throwing them open for somebody else who was going to drop bigger benefits. So even if I don't get immediate benefits, throwing these legs open is a down payment on future benefits. I'm putting my chit on future benefits. I'm putting it on future benefits. You got some lying chicks in the chat room now, but go ahead and tell that tale. In any case, a female, when she does that, that's what it is. That's what it is. These chicks talking about what they wouldn't do for 5 years. Meanwhile, ain't a chick out here with a clean body count no damn where. Ain't a single chick out here with a clean body count. All of a sudden, we got a bunch of virgins who would never do that. Oh, Jason, I would never do nothing like that right there. No, I would never. Jason, you just wrong. I would never do nothing like that. That's some other chick would do that. Lie. So, fellas, like I said, you let them tell it, and they just gonna sit up here and say any damn thing. They gonna say any damn thing. Y'all, is Alanda trying to throw subs up in here? She said she was in the shower, and then she threw up 6 red heel emojis. Y'all, is she throwing subs up in here? Is she trying to say something, or is she trying to get some results? I don't know. She threw up 6 red heels and said, "I just got out of the shower." Okay, who was that for? Whose attention you trying to get right now? Hear my heels. I was in the shower, So okay. Keep that visual. All right, what'd she say? Hey, look here. No shame in the game. I can't do nothing but respect it. Can't do nothing but respect it. What'd she say? She tried to get to that vice presidential suite. She said, I'm trying to get to that vice presidential suite.
Oh, Alrighty then.
But fellas, just understand the rules of the road and understand exactly what women think. Don't believe what they lie about. Take a look at what they do and then just accept that that's the reality. If you ask them, they will lie to your face. You need to go off of what people do, not what they say. If a woman has been having sex with you for an extended period of time, she feels you owe her. She feels that your sex is worth sex, but she feels that her sex is worth sex and benefits, sex and tangibles, sex and status. And if she's been having sex with you for any extended period of time, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, she believes you owe her. First of all, I'm saying for an extended period of time, but the truth of the matter is if a woman has had sex with you more than 3 times, she feels like you owe her. And for many women, especially as they get older, they feel like you owe them before you've had sex with them. What? They feel like you owe them before you've had sex with them. So younger females, if you sleep with them enough times, okay, you owe me something. When they get in their late 30s or 40s, she's like, oh, you owe me something before I even meet you. Oh, you owe me something now. You owe me before we have any sex. You owe me something now. So I want you fellas to understand that the other thing I noticed was an issue here is, by the way, you have these females, if she's around for an extended period of time, and she feels you owe her. Last but not least, what I also noticed was, by the way, she crazy as hell. She is crazy as hell. Fellas, I say this again. This is how we as men get caught up, and I'm not lecturing you or condescending to you. I'm the first one to tell you, look here, I got about 3 or 4 damn escapees from the 10th floor on my resume. In my life, you talk about crazy females, I got about 3 or 4 chicks who are registered for the damn Baker Act on my resume. I'm not sitting here flossing on nobody. I know what you fellas is going through out there. I'm not flossing on no one. I'm just letting you know. I get it. Crazy chicks are awesome. They're not good. They are awesome. They are inspiring. The sex game is always potent. Crazy chicks are phenomenal in bed. They are also self-destructive. Everything that they do is with reckless abandon. You like, finally, a chick who ain't sitting up here holding nothing back. Okay, but when she decides to go crazy on you, when she decides to go ahead and just let it all hang out and say, screw it, when she brings that same ferocity she had in bed to the damn street corner on your screens, Jonathan was running to get to bed with her, and then she got on the damn street corner. She's like, oh, she's crazy out here too. Well, you want a female who's passionate. Well, she's passionate in bed. She's crazy in bed. Well, she's crazy chasing your ass down the block too. So as men, I just want you to understand, I'm not judging you here. I understand all of us have been in a situation where we just like, man, look here, just a tiny taste. Let me see what that electricity is like. I get it. I understand it. What I'm telling you fellas is these chicks see that as a weakness. They see that. They see if that's the kind of thing you like. And that's it. I get your old broad out the way and here I am. Everything for her is green lights. Green lights and checker flags. You have the permission to go, go, go. Whatever you want, she wanted more than you. And you like, finally done found that. I'm just letting you know that, by the way, fellas, all these women here, they showing them signs of being imbalanced. 51-50. Hell, hanging out with Bryan here long enough. I mean, that was That was certification enough. But all they got the clear warning signs of that. And you just like, well, this will be fun to play with. Fellas, what do you do when the chick you've been playing with is like, yeah, you know what? I want to play a different game now. What do you do when you're with a chick who the sexual thrills that she would usually get, now she's transferring that sexual thrill energy towards harming you? She's like, you know what? Having sex is exciting, but ruining your life, well, that would be exciting too. How many of you fellas thought about that like that? That there are females who consider going after you and trying to ruin you? She's like, I'm getting an emotional high off of that. I love the idea. Oh, this is a different type of drama. This is a different type of excitement. Wow, you know, I think I would like taking you to court 3 or 4 times. I think I'd like to do that. You know, me being in court and everybody's looking at me and I'm getting attention. You know what? Maybe going in on you, maybe that would be exciting too. That's when you find out it's like, I'll be damned. She got a track record of doing this. Or you're a fellow who finds out that women aren't afraid of courts of law. Hey, fellas, women ain't afraid to go to a court. Fellas need to understand, women are not afraid of government buildings. Women are used to being deferred to, so every government building they go into, they're used to getting customer service. As men, but specifically as black men, we avoid government buildings. We don't want state buildings, police stations, courtrooms, city hall. Yeah, we try to avoid all of that. We try to avoid all of those. If we do know their locations, it's so we can keep from going around that son of a gun. Men avoid state buildings. Why do you think that most of your state employees are female? Women have no problem with going to a state building for the welfare check, for the TANF, for the food stamps, file a police report, to file a court case. Women have no problem whatsoever walking up in there bigger than daylight. No trepidation at all. They talk to the man up there at the front desk who does the metal detectors like they've been friends with him for decades. So I want you men to understand a woman's view of a courtroom, of a police station, of going to a place where they file something on you, filing a divorce, making up claims, going to a lawyer's office. Women are perfectly comfortable in those places. Men are the ones sitting around, crossing our feet and looking all nervous. The women are just perfectly at home. Jason, how can you say that? I can say that very easily and very accurately. Jason, how so? Folks, who is it who insists on 90% of the marriages? Females. And who is it that files 80% of the divorces? Oh, those same females who will sit here right now and try to tell you that that's not true, Jason. We're not like that. We don't feel, that's not really what we are. Oh, really? Because if that was false, then why is it that you all are the first ones sprinting to a lawyer's office and sprinting to the divorce court? If you all are not perfectly comfortable as a group in mass of doing that kind of thing. If it's not true, then why is it that you all don't need any training to go get welfare and food stamps, and you don't need any training to file for a divorce? Your man doesn't even know which courthouse you filed against him in. He doesn't even know. But the women are thoroughly comfortable going to these places. Fellas, I'm just trying to teach you. And I've never been married. Now, here's the crazy thing about it. I've never been married, and I know this. Every married dude listening to me right now, he got blindsided By the way, I've never been married, and I know this. These women are perfectly comfortable sitting in a government building because she knows that she got home court advantage. They're on her side. The evidence will have to be overwhelming for you to get anything done. So she feels, or she's been trained to believe, that by default, the government is on her side, that the government is here for her protection. And if she chooses to sick that government on you or drag you into the system, well, she got the advantage. So you see, she has no problem doing that because she's like, hey, in the government, I got the advantage with them. I've got the advantage with the government, not you. So yeah, let's get this brawl started. Because I feel like I got the edge. Yeah, if I was making it up, then why is it that, by the way, yeah, we can name all these things where the women have no problem sprinting through the door? Then you'll have some baboon fella sitting in my chat room trying to tell me what won't happen and what they won't do and what your exes are not thinking, and you're just home free and go do your business. Fellas, I want to tell you about one more thing here. The biggest lie. Every female tells the same lie. Ladies, I gotta read your mail. All of y'all are guilty of telling the same lie. Fellas, especially the dudes who dealt with slutty hoes, you fellas who dealt with single moms, you fellas who are divorcees, you fellas who done dealt with some chick on Skid Row or something, all of them tell the same lie. Most females tell this lie, period. Practically all females tell this lie. But those groups I just named right there, you've run into that acutely. I don't know where my ex is. Now, most of us know that females lie their asses off when they say they don't know who the baby daddy is and they don't know where he is. They will literally sit there on Maury Povich lying their asses off, telling him that they don't know where their baby daddy is. They don't know who it is. Now, they knew how to get pregnant by him. But when we say, by the way, who was he? Well, I don't know. I don't know who that is. Fellas, every female knows who she got pregnant by because she was working and trying to get pregnant by him. She wanted his baby. And that's why when you ask females about their exes, they start telling you they don't know where that guy is. Now, some of you done sat up here and been with a chick who was stomped down slutty as hell, and you were walking through Walmart, and then some other fella was walking in the other direction, and you saw him looking your chick, but you realized he ain't looking at her like, damn, she fine. He's looking at her like he knows who she is. Some of you fellas done felt that. You know what it's like to be walking through the mall, walking through Walmart, walking through Target, walking through a store. Some of you on your college campuses, you with your chick, she tells you she don't know where her exes are, she ain't been with nobody, and yet you're walking through a store and then you see some guy. And this fella is looking at your broad, but he's not looking at her with the I'd like to sleep with her look. You can tell from his face, hey, he knows you. He knows you. This guy he's not lost about you. This fella knows you. He knows you. I want the fellas to understand that. This is what we're dealing with. As men today, fellas, the biggest lie chick will sit up here and tell you, I don't know where my exes are. Every woman knows. You know why she knows? She knows because she needs to make sure that she don't stumble across him so that he doesn't come bust up what she doing. she got to make sure that just in case she ever do get on, that you don't come along busting up what she got going on now. So, yeah, she needs to know, or if she needs to double back. So just in case she got to make that move, she got to make sure she can double back. Fellas, the biggest lie you'll be told is that she doesn't know where that guy is. That's the biggest lie they'll tell. And they're hoping that you won't ask any questions that prove this false. They know where these men are. Shout out here to my man Cadario Jackson in the super chat. You say I'm making you nervous? Blog Talk is not working right now. They got a message on the thing saying that they're having errors with being able to take calls. So that's the reason I hadn't opened up the phone lines yet. But I can see about going ahead and opening up a Zoom here real briefly if you want to use that. We've been going on here for like almost 3 hours. So, but if you want to make that move, I can go ahead and throw the Zoom up here for a minute. But I want the fellas to be clear on this right here. The real reason is that in this day and age that we're in, a lot of men today, most men today, you are operating off of outdated files and outdated notions, man. That's the thing I'm trying to tell you. You are operating off of outdated files and outdated notions. You are operating off of traditional paradigms and traditional behaviors, and you are not in the traditional world. You tell yourself, the world has changed. The world has changed. And you better change along with it. You better adapt with it. Because I'm telling you right now, the women get it. The women get it. Right now, you have more millionaires and billionaires on this earth than we've ever had. You have more millionaires and billionaires than have ever existed. And I'm just telling you right now, that means the women have, in their minds, more opportunities to get on than ever. Okay, but the problem is that once men reach a certain socioeconomic status, they're not these naive young men they were anymore. Now they're more slick. And the female's like, okay, too many of you men are slick. Too many of you men are wise today. Too many of you men, especially you guys at the top, you're not as vulnerable as you used to be. Well, if you won't bow down, let me see if I can knock you down. And this is where we're at now. This is where we're at today. Let me go ahead and see if I can get the Zoom working here. I got Cadario here trying to get logged in on Zoom for us. Waiting for him to get his camera together if he can, I guess. Cadario, your camera's not on, sir.
Let me check this.
I don't know what's going on with it. It's not on.
Let me try. I'm gonna try the phone.
Well, that's not gonna work for you. So you might as well go ahead. I'll let you go ahead and talk. Folks have already seen you before, so I don't have to hold you to that. What's on your mind?
So I got a question, man. So okay, it's logging in on my phone now.
Okay, looks like it might go a little bit better for you then. Okay, so you can switch over.
Okay, is that any better?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, sorry about that. Man, so I was about to say, I'm trying to find some anti-anxiety medication.
yeah, because you on your way to a Jonathan Major situation. I ain't want the blonde chick chasing you down the street, so.
Oh, hell no, I already told you, man. That's over with. That was over in July, man. So I got a question, man, because I told you this was about a month and a half ago, and I was, because we were talking about the status, and it's not, money buying goodwill and everything. And I was thinking, I'm like, I'm getting more and more nervous as you gaming us up. And I was just thinking, like, with the new role, man, is, some of the most highly respected physicians in this country are cardiologists. And, with this new role, I'll be training the doctors on how to do this new procedure that is not even standard of care yet. And so the money obviously gonna come, but part of it, since I've been training and flying all over this country with this new job, man, I'm already at silver medallion status with Delta. And so I'm about 3,000 miles away from that status. And so I'm like, okay, let me take a quick trip to Panama because it's super cheap or whatever, so I can get those miles or whatever that I need to hit that status. So I'm already going on the trip, but I was just like, maybe it'd be cool to take somebody that's good looking with me. And I was thinking about, as you was talking, I'm like, okay, if I pick her up, if she comes to my house, she's going to see the 7 Series. And when we get to the airport and we get back, when we get to the hotel, it's the Waldorf Astoria. And if they upgrade the room because you got diamond status, what's going to go on in her mind when we leave there, if that makes sense? And I'm just thinking about it from the sense of like, I'm not a millionaire. A lot of the fellas in here, we're aspiring to be millionaires, but what the hell do we do? Like, what the hell do we do, man? Like, do we just not bring them to the house? Like, how do we not fall into this trap of trying to work on ourselves, trying to be better, trying to be in that top 1%?
Well, let me go ahead and clear up a few misconceptions here.
That side chick position? Like,
well, no. Here's what you need to do, because here's where fellas today, I keep saying the same thing, and they got to be clear about this. You have got to have an agenda. But furthermore, you've also got to have a program. Fellas, you cannot let a female tell you what the program gonna be. You cannot.
Correct.
And here's where most males get into trouble, because the truth of the matter is that most fellas out here, whether they make a good income or not, whether they're personal or not, most men are in a constant, perpetual sexual drought. Women understand this. Women can identify thirsty from a mile away, even if he's not giving obvious cues. Women's survival depends upon, women's both survival and prosperity depends upon identifying those things. Right. So when it comes to men, if you're a guy and you let them start making rules or start making demands, that's where problems come in. Well, Jason, what kind of demands? Demand number 1, how much you should, first of all, if there should be a date. That's the first thing. That's demand number 1. That she's going to decide what the place is that she should occupy in your life. There's your first mistake. You're supposed to be the one who makes that decision. If you are not the one who made that choice 100% up and down, and it's usually because fellas are so desperate / determined to have sexual options that they do the worst type of negotiation. The worst negotiator is the one who won't get up and walk away from the table. So when females see that you're not going to get up and walk away, then what she does, she hits you with her ceiling, not her floor. Next thing you know, we need to go on a date. This is how much it needs to be. This is where we need to go, blah, blah, blah. As opposed to you telling her, this is what the deal going to be.
Yep.
That's mistake number 1. Mistake number 2, basic simp ideology. A simp is an individual who believes that he can buy a woman's respect. Now, you said something there that's a little bit in error. I want you all to understand, you don't buy status. Status cannot be bought. Status is a product of your accomplishments. Now, money can be, and you can certainly achieve a certain income, but just understand that if all you are is a walking paycheck, you haven't accomplished anything.
Right.
Just understand that. The worst thing a man can be is a walking paycheck. You're just a walking ATM because you got the professional skills. You don't have the social ones. Mm-hmm. You're supposed to have a value that transcends money. The money is just supposed to be a rider. It's supposed to be riding along with whatever it is you do that makes you valuable. You see what I mean? The money is supposed to accompany the value. It's supposed to be a rider with it. It's not supposed to be an independent entity. Mm-hmm. Now, as I said before, you can have status without having a bunch of money. I don't see how you can have status and be broke. I don't think you can have status and be broke. But you can't, money doesn't give you status. Your accomplishments give you status. So don't get it mistaken. All right. Now, the other thing here is that you set the terms of engagement. You said something here because one of my long-term students here, you got the game correctly. You have a bunch of fellas here who, because they are afraid to say no, or they're afraid to say what the terms are, they are scared for whatever reason to tell a female exactly what the deal is. Dudes, you all take a look on your damn screens right now and you tell me if Jonathan Majors made a mistake letting that broad know where he sleeps.
Yeah, hell no, I ain't.
Now, but here's the thing. Even as his girlfriend, I don't care how long they've been together. By the way, if you knew there was something wrong, if you knew she 5150, you just gonna determine to try to make it work. By the way, you all tell me if Jason's wrong with what he's taught to Cadario and the others. By the way, did he make a mistake by letting her know where he sleeps? So when you talk about taking her to the Waldorf Astoria or the Four Seasons or whatever, you tell her, yeah, that's what that's going to be. She starts hitting you up about knowing where you sleep. Dude, if you hadn't already done that, you already know there's a problem. And your job is to hold frame on that. It's like, no, we hold the line on that. That's what that there's going to be. She can sit up here and talk to you about it looks funny or this, that, there, and the other. Those are the rules. If this is the position that you have given her, you don't let her pressure you into creating a security threat. This is where men get it screwed up.
Yeah.
This is your line. You hold that line. That's it. I got a bunch of fellas right now. They got straight up hoes in their houses who should be sitting down there at the damn Me Comfort Suites. And they got straight up hoes in their houses.
Straight up.
Now that's the part I'm trying to tell you is what, dude, why is she here? This makes no damn sense. You're trying to pigeonhole her. You're trying to squeeze her into a slot she doesn't belong. And then when the predictable occurs, they're sitting here and singing the blues. Why didn't we hold the line? She felt funny about that. Dude, she can feel however she wants to.
Yeah.
You let her pressure you, and now she's gotten you to break.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's why I think even like when you talk about guys being afraid to not let, like I'm definitely not in that category or that boat when it comes to letting or being desperate, where a lot of times that's actually how, if they try not to be an ass, but I end up being an ass anyway, I'll both kind of sarcastically say, okay, if I'm such a problem, if I'm causing you so much anxiety and stress, why don't you just go ahead? You deserve better. Go ahead and do better. Go ahead and leave. All of a sudden is the issue is not that bad anymore.
Well, here's my thing. No matter how they respond, you can't fight better than you've practiced. If you have practiced giving in, if you've practiced breaking your boundaries, if you've practiced letting things slide, then that becomes how you fight. When it's time to go to war, that's how you're going to respond. If you practice that, no, I draw this line, and even though it might inconvenience me, or at least what I want, things might not turn out the way I wanted, but they're going to turn out the way I need. I need to be able to make sure that I control these things. I got to stay in control of that. And a person who does not respect that that's necessary to be in your presence, why are they so insistent on violating those boundaries? That's not for your benefit. Now, if you've made the determination that this is where she's involved, this is where she qualifies for, let it be that, but don't just let it be that, require it to be that. So if you want to know how fellas in that strata need to be moving, that's what it is. You know this, don't nobody asked that about Ashton Kutcher, Leo DiCaprio, or Brad Pitt. You think about that for I want y'all to understand something. Every time y'all see them, for example, you talk about the French Riviera. We talk about the French Riviera, Rio de Janeiro. One question, do those men live there? Hell no. Okay, so what does that mean? Y'all saw them at a resort, you saw them at a hotel. So please tell me, why in the hell is that good enough for Leo, good enough for Brad Pitt, is good enough for them, but it's not good enough for you? Think about that for a few moments. Them fellas are already living like that. You know why? Because they've already had enough close calls, enough problems.
Yeah.
They've already had that. They're just not giving interviews where they're explaining it the way I am. I'm telling you, by the way, they already been through that. They've been through the ring.
Yeah, it's like they're already living it, but we don't get that information of the true essence and the background of exactly why they're running their lives that way. And so I appreciate it, like you said, like I guess it's not really dark arts. It's just real information to protect ourselves, and that's really why I was nervous, because I was like, okay, oh hell, like you were saying, like these are women that are girlfriends of these guys. By definition, they've allowed these women to get close to them, and so I'm
look here. If you're a fella in the top, I'm really going to put it at the 5%. For the 10% fellas, I guess you can go ahead and start practicing, but if you're in the top 10%, but absolutely if you're in the top 5% or higher, a female becoming your woman should be like becoming a made man in the mafia.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Okay.
Fellas, I've been telling y'all this for years. If you're a fella who's got that status and that value and you're on the incline, a chick becoming your woman, that should be like becoming a made man. That should be like becoming a made man in the mafia. That's what that's supposed to be like. She's supposed to sacrifice. She's supposed to put in the work. She's supposed to be on call. In other words, there's supposed to be no ambiguity on your part as the boss. Remember, when it's time to get made in the mafia, when they say that we made him, you understand, for those of you who are familiar with the ceremony of La Cosa Nostra, when it's time to get made, there are 4 people definitively who are in that room. Always the boss of the family, the underboss, the capo regime, and whoever your captain is. That's always the case. Now, sometimes capo and captain may be the same thing, but that's always going to be there. Now, sometimes they expand it to like whoever sponsored you or nominated you. Sometimes that's happened. It's not always uniform across the board for that. For everybody who doesn't know, it's not always uniform, but it's always the boss because he's the one who has to approve you. Mm-hmm. He's the leader of the family. So in other words, you cannot enter the family without him meeting you face to face, and he's the one who approves you. So if anything goes wrong with you, you're his responsibility. I'm the one who let you in. These other folks nominated you. I'm the one who let you in. Me. My underboss might be cool with you. He's the one going to be responsible for you because after today, if I hear your name, it better be good. If I hear your name and it ain't good, but I don't really got time to micromanage y'all. I got to meet you because I got to meet you. The underboss is probably going to be doing more with you, and your captain's going to be doing more than anybody. So you don't come talking to me unless I send for you. These other guys over here who brought you in, that's who talks to me on your behalf. And if I need to talk to you, I'll send a kite and somebody going to come get you to bring you to me. You don't come to me. So what I'm saying is that there are stipulations and regulations. There's things you got to do. You got to qualify for that. You got to start out as a guy who's in the neighborhood known, what they call an associate. Then once you dealt with associates long enough, you become a wise guy. Then after that, you with the crews or whatever. And then maybe if you're known in them circles, they start evaluating you to see, hey, when it's time to open the books, we're going to give you a nod. But that'll take years. And what I'm saying is that you got fellas out here with everything to lose in an environment that's more fragile than it's ever been, with females who are more abusive than they've ever been. And understand, well, if I got leverage, if I don't like the way the relationship went, I have no problem just telling a bald-faced lie on you.
Yeah.
If you're going to go take that somewhere else. So, yeah, you're going to, quote, mess me over. Well, I'm going to mess you over. And that's where you're at today. I'm telling y'all, if you're a fella who's got your value building, a chick getting with you it should be like joining the mafia. She should have to be doing that. If you fellas are not doing that, just understand, you don't know her well enough. I'm just telling you right now, if you didn't do that, you don't know her well enough. You don't. That's why I tell you, it takes years before a man's going to marry a woman. You cannot tell me that you know this woman. The mafia don't know you well enough after half a decade, but you know this chick well enough in 3 months to get married. Okay, can you predict how this is most likely going to end? So the real thing is most fellas don't do the due diligence. They don't have a program. They don't have discipline for it. They break discipline. The females see you going to do it. So I'm just saying fellas got to move a lot differently than they have been. There must be structure. You can't fly by the seat of your damn pants. The way you acted when you were broke and you had nothing cannot be the way you behave now. Your situation and your status have changed. You have to alter your behavior along with it because you're no longer the person you were. This is what I mean by money doesn't change your status. Because you got a lot, as you know, there's a lot of fellas out here who got some money, but he's not a new person. He's the same dude he always was. He just has more money now. Well, he's going to have the same problems he's always had. Probably about to get worse because circumstances have changed and this dunderhead is the way he's always been. He hasn't changed. So for those of you in this situation, what do we do? What I'm saying is there needs to be a lot more structure. And you cannot be shy or bashful about it. I just sat here and showed you videos here. The guys I've been showing you all here tonight, Tiger Woods, the woman had to sign to do arbitration if they broke up. That's for the damn girlfriend.
Yes.
Yeah, we got to do arbitration. Bryan Johnson, he broke up with his fiance. I was telling you, they got NDAs and arbitration, man. Think about that for a few moments. That's their idea of due diligence, and it turns out they needed it. It's a good thing they had it because, by the way, damn it, they needed it. How many other fellas out there got these things? We haven't heard about them yet. Most of them do. Okay, and take a look at what happened with the fellas who did have it. Yeah, they wound up having to use it. Now, what good would they have done to tell themselves, well, I'm shy and bashful. Well, I don't need no prenup. Okay. I need no agreement right here. She seems like good. I feel like a good judge of character. All right. So, fellas, what I'm saying is the environment's changed. You got to move different. In my opinion, this is the way to handle that. I'm not saying you cannot have a serious girlfriend or a long-term relationship. What I'm saying is that there needs to be a process for that. And most importantly of all, if the chick you got, you know damn well if she's off. You know damn well, it's like, if anything goes bad with this broad, it's going to be a problem. She don't have a problem fist fighting in the streets. She doesn't have a problem pulling a knife on you. She doesn't have a problem showing out. Okay, then don't sit up here and tell yourself that's not one day going to be something you're going to have to deal with. When you recognize warning signs, yeah, but the sex is great. Okay, if you recognize a warning sign, don't overlook it. See it for what it is. And make the adjustments. She's a problem if this ever goes south. We need to start implementing distance. She's blowing up my phone. She's calling. She wants to get that distance closed. You're a security hazard. But it's up to you if you tell her that. Whether you tell her or not, you need to behave like it. And you cannot be bashful. The rules are the rules.
Yes, sir. Hey, man, my files are updated, brother. I appreciate it. That's all I got, man. Thanks again, bro.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight here. Fellas, like I say, if you want the biggest piece of advice I can give you here, do not be bashful. Do not be bashful. You cannot afford to be bashful. This is your future we're talking about. This is your future. And you can't afford to be bashful. You have to call it for what it is. You have to call it for what it is. In the chat room, I don't know where Paris is, but Paris, we want to talk to niggas in Paris. So Paris, my mods told you needed to call in. They told you that you need to hit the Zoom. So, no ma'am, that was not just a nifty suggestion. So, we're looking for Paris, and I don't mean Hilton. Paris has had a lot to say in the chat room. You all know the rules here. I have no problem with people who disagree, but you can't sit there in the chat room rage posting and trolling. If you have a disagreement, you need to call in and articulate that. That's the whole point of it there. That's why I run things the way I do. You have every opportunity to articulate that. So let's not be bashful. If you got a lot to say over there, you got plenty to say over here too. You got plenty to say over here too. So we are waiting on Paris. We'll give her a couple of minutes. I've done tonight's program because tonight's program is about the evil ex-girlfriend era that we're in. We are in an era where ex-girlfriends are suing guys. If you're a fella who's in the top 10% or 5% acutely, specifically, or higher, it's open season. It's open season. This is it. There is no more breaking up. There is no more doing that. She now reserves the right to re-enter your life and try to destroy it. That's the situation we're in now, is that they are now saying that they reserve the right to re-enter your life at any time of their choosing and destroy it, wreck it, ruin it. This is not where we're on the way to. This is where we're at right now. Fellas, are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready for a real situation where you talking about, you know what? I think I'm good that we're done. And she's like, okay, I'm so glad that you're done because I'm not. I'm so glad that you're done because I'm not. And as a matter of fact, I'd like to see if I can make this more difficult. Every single one of these fellas I've shown you tonight here, every single one of them told themselves, that won't be me. I mean, if she won't go nuclear, that won't be me. That won't be me at all. I'll be all right. Since Paris has decided that she will not stand by her words, then Paris can spend the rest of her life watching. But you don't need to have the ability to speak. We have no problem with people with divergent opinions, but we don't like a coward who will not stand by their words. So, with that being the case, gonna go ahead and take that down. Hey, fellas, look here. All I can do is appraise you of the brave new world that we are in. You can take it seriously or not. Just remember, once upon a time, a fella could sit up here and go get a whole bunch of hoes pregnant all around town. Now it's a felony. Now they take your passport. Now they take your driver's license. Now a chick can say you the daddy, doesn't have to even provide a DNA test. Once she accuses you, that's enough. The state gets the ball rolling on her side, simply on her word. Now, you don't have that leeway. You don't. And this has gone to their heads now. So they're like, hey, the law says that we have a constitutional right as women to destroy men who displease us. If I'm displeased by you, well, the law says I can destroy you, even if I want to lie on you. Why? You deserve it. I want you to know, the fellas, the more of you who got more to lose, and I'm not just talking about money, I'm telling you, notice I keep hammering home about status. You fellas, if you raised a woman, status. Just recognize the world we are in today. It is a free for all. It's a free fire zone. And you are what is for dinner if you don't accept this. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here tonight. I want to thank everyone who has contributed to tonight's program through PayPal, CashApp, Super Chat, Venmo. Here on The Business, we have everything working here. So the PayPal was down for a little bit, but that's working. But everything else here is up and going. So I want to thank everyone who has contributed to support tonight's program. If you are new here to The Business, welcome to the program that all your favorite YouTubers love to hate watch. Click that red subscribe button. Click that yellow notification bell. Join us each and every time that we're here. When you hear all of them making the points that I made tonight next week on their programs, just know where they got it from. If you have not seen us on Patreon, the link is in the description. We do it every weekend at 12 noon Central Time. You are, of course, welcome to join us here tomorrow. I might want to do an update on some of the things that I mentioned on last week's Patreon, so you all are invited to join us for that as well. A lot of folks getting gamed up here. I want to thank all of you for tuning in to tonight's program. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of The Business. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, Mr. Jason Black. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, all of you remember, handle your business, or your business will come back and handle you.